evening. The City of Southfield regular meeting for March 30th, 2026 is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, if you don't mind taking the roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
Present.
Councilwoman Bland.
Here.
Councilman Brightwell.
Here.
Councilwoman Haynes.
Present.
Councilwoman Pro Tem Hoag.
Here.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Present.
Council President Hicks.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. If we can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now have a presentation recognizing an Employee of the Month.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I'm here today to present our Employee of the Month for the month of March, Ms. Rhonda Terry, nominated by Sherry Veal and Mr. Zorn. As the City Southfield's Employee of the Month for March, Rhonda has dedicated 30 years of outstanding service to our community, consistently demonstrating professionalism, compassion, and a strong commitment to public service. Throughout her career, she has grown within the organization and currently serves as an outreach to caseworker, while also welcoming guests as the City Council's first meeting center greeter. She played a vital role in supporting residents during the COVID-19 pandemic and continues to lead and support programs that provide essential services to our community. Beyond her role, Rhonda has taken initiative to create impactful programs such as Tune Up, okay, and Adopt a Family, helping residents maintain employment and supporting families during the holiday season. Rhonda is trusted and dedicated resource whose work has made a lasting impact on the City of Southfield. And I must say, in my work with Rhonda, she has really been the best cheerleader on the Spirit Committee team, and I'm going to miss Rhonda because if you don't know, Rhonda will be retiring soon. And so I want to congratulate her on that also. But again, extend words to Mr. Zorn if he'd like to say something.
Thank you, Kim. Rhonda has been the face of Southfield for our Human Services Department. What she has done with our faith-based community, the nonprofit community, bringing those resources to the City of Southfield. I've watched her, as unique cases come together, how she has reached out and cobbled resources to help someone who is maybe going through an eviction, what she's done with the legal aid program and her documentation of the programs that she has run. She has put together basically the operating procedures for every one of the programs that she's run, and she's done an outstanding job. She will be some big shoes to fill, and I thank her for her service, but she's definitely been that face of Southfield in our Human Services Department.
And we're going to hold her to joining us for hula hoops during our employee activity. So you'll see her again. All right, thank you. Please give Rhonda a round of applause.
Council President, if I may add.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many people that Rhonda has assisted over the years, but my office very frequently hears from residents who are up against something, whether it's a health issue and they've diverted their resources to medication or doctor visits, and then have trouble with the rent or mortgage and just any number of life situations. And Rhonda has really been a tremendous lifeline for so many in this community. We all appreciate you. I greatly appreciate all the assistance that we've worked together to help those in need. So, Rhonda, thank you very, very much.
Well, one moment. Ms. Terry, we have a few more comments. Can somebody get her some tissue, please? Councilwoman Haynes.
Rhonda, I just want to say thank you. I remember when I first came here, you were one of the first people to greet me, and I remember working with you on the Southfield Youth Assistance. It was a Parent Youth Guidance at that time. We were in the old building on Berg Road. I want to thank you for setting the standard for integrity, patience, accountability, responsibility. Not only have you set the bar high and you have big shoes to fill, you have set the standard for other people in the city to follow as employees in the city of Southfield. I thank you for that. I thank you for what you have done recently to encourage the new employees and being patient with them and not giving up on them. And I thank you for all that you have done, and I know you will continue to do to uplift our city. I appreciate you, and may God bless you in your retirement. Thank you for being my friend.
Councilman Brightwell.
Ms. Terry, I've dealt with you since I was on the Veterans Commission. And the Veterans Commission, on an annual basis, will receive funds that we raise through the Spell Bowl. And so every year, we would donate money to Rhonda's office, and she made sure that money went to veterans who were in need. That was about $500 every year we would give to your office there. And I wanted to just thank you for being steadfast in reminding us that our payment was due, our donation was due, so to speak. And the veterans, we took care of veterans, and you took care of veterans based on whatever was needed, based on the funds. So we would appreciate you for your dedication, and enjoy your retirement. You're welcome.
Council President Pro Tem Hogue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Of course, everybody has said everything that I wanted to say, but I think what may have been missing is just your love for people in life. You're always encouraging people to stay fit, and you're, even for you, and you're an inspiration to others. And keep that zeal for life, because sometimes people retire and then they just, I know you're not going to shut down, because you've already put out a new video about jump roping a day. So just thank you for that, caring about people. And that's why you were so great in that position, because you cared and you led with your heart. So we thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Just congratulations. I know you've been the face, when people walk in, your office used to be right there, helping people, giving out, I know every year I'm always talking to you around holiday giveaways and Southfield Goodfellows and everything else. So, your job, while may not be necessarily up here making decisions, you're really helping the people who need the help in the time that they need it, and you're helping them, add from the bottom when they're at the bottom, and you're helping bring them up. So thank you very much for all your efforts for the Southfield residents.
Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. Rhonda, whoever takes your position, they've got some really big shoes to fill. Always keep that smile on your face. I think we're going to really miss that, and my colleagues have also mentioned your love and compassion for every person who walks through that door, and even the employees. I mean, congratulations, and enjoy retirement.
Councilwoman Bland.
My grandmother used to always say, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. And you're kind. You really are. It's just who you are. When I was asking about where things are, everybody kept saying, go to Rhonda Terry. And when I met you, I understood why. So thank you for being kind in a world where kindness is not as free-flowing as it should be, and I wish you all the best.
So my colleagues have said it all. I definitely support being the employee of the month, year, et cetera. I want to call for a motion to vote against you leaving, so I think I'll get a unanimous vote on that one. But no, we wish you well. We hope that you wake up and do like my dad does. Hey, what are you doing? I'm going to work. Well, enjoy that. I'm going back to bed, so enjoy that. Anything else, council?
You know, I would add one other thing. Besides all of her service in the city of Southfield, Rhonda does a great job in her neighborhood, her activism on her neighborhood board, and community pride as well as neighborhood appearances.
So, Ms. Terry, Mr. Mayor, the council wants to take a picture, so if you can assume the usual position, and we, council, we can please stand again, please. No, you go down there.
You can do it, Kim. Kim, we have confidence in you.
All right.
Okay, there you go.
Dawn, you want to get in this? No?
Thank you.
The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the recognition for Employee of the Month for employee Rhonda Terry.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue and supported by Councilwoman Haynes. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We now will transition into our communications. There were several sign-ups related to the soccer dome. There will be a portion later on in the agenda, a public hearing, where you can voice your questions there. But of course, if you choose to state your comment here, you can as well. The City of Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedures for all speakers. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the council. Each speaker is responsible for his or her comments, and the City of Southfield does not, by permitting such remarks, support, endorse, or accept the content thereof as being true or accurate. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which they perform their duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language toward any individual when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly. If a person addresses the council, refuses when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the City Council and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. The council may not respond to public comments during the meeting. If you have provided your contact information when you've signed up for public communications, the city will provide a more formal response to you in the near future, should it be needed. The council may respond to comments at the end of communications if they are able to do so. Bridget Mallory? Marley. If you can please state your name and whether you're a Southfield resident for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Bridget Marley. I am a Berkeley resident, but a Southfield business owner for 20 years, 22141 Hilltop in Southfield. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As a business owner, I cringe at the thought that we could have leased space in one town center. And I would be sharing space with OPLA, the agency that is currently under federal investigation for lying to judges in order to capture people who were going through the immigration process the right way. It's hard to stomach that these ICE attorneys from the same government agency will be taking space in Southfield, where my husband and I have been very proud to be here for all these years. Now, you may be feeling, with continued feedback from the community, that we're barking up the wrong tree. You are our tree. As elected leaders, you're our partners in protecting our community and the adjacent communities where many of us live. ICE is expanding, and they're taking up space. And so far, they've been able to do it with ease, with the exception of the fight that they're getting in Romulus. So whether intended or not, that association with ICE and Southfield is now real, and it breaks my heart. So we understand that the legal limitations around the lease, it was done legally, there's nothing that your body can do. However, what we're asking, or what I'm asking, is to continue engaging with Redico and communicating the impact that this particular lease has on our community. We are here to stand together because Southfield deserves to remain a place where we all love to come, to work, to eat, to play, to live, and to raise our families. And I just wish there was something that could have been done to stop ICE from expanding and taking space here in Southfield. So again, we're not mad at you. We just want you to stand along with us and to feel this, because it matters. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, establishing protocol, I respectfully ask that after speakers come to the podium to address the council, that we refrain from remarks and/or clapping. Thank you. Honorable Barbara Talley.
Okay, my name is Barbara Talley. I guess you know me, I used to be up there. I stand with the City of Southfield resolution affirming community safety, civil rights, and local policy, and call on all residents to remain committed to being a welcoming and inclusive community where the civil rights of all residents are protected. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Did you want to say something?
Dr. Patricia Talley.
Thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Barbara Talley's daughter. My name is Patricia, not Barbara. I've relocated back to Southfield after living abroad for 40 years, and I'm an international representative of Mexico Negro Asociación Civil, the largest civil rights group for indigenous and African Mexican people in the country. And I serve as an international director for May Peace Prevail on Earth International. We too stand in support of the City of Southfield's resolution to commit to the civil rights of all people in this community. So we thank you for your support, and we look forward to our May Peace Prevail on Earth. The project is right outside on Barbara Talley Way. Those peace poles, that was my project that I worked with the City Council. Our next event will be the International Day of Peace on September 21st. We do not know at this point exactly how that will be celebrated given current situations, but we will be calling on you to ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you both. Lauren Fink.
Hello, Council President Hicks and esteemed leaders of our community here in Southfield. My name is Lauren Fink. I'm a resident of Southfield. I'm a member of the Southfield Neighbors Action Committee. You guys have been hearing from us a lot. You know what I'm here to talk about. This space at One Town Square that's been leased to OPLA, the Lawyers for ICE. A couple of weeks ago, about a month ago now, hundreds of your constituents filled this room in the overflow space. I don't know if all of you got to see just how many people were here. There were chairs put out into the atrium here, and you all did a pretty good job convincing a lot of those folks that you took them seriously and that you were planning to take some action on this issue. I think that's why there's a smaller number of us that have continued coming back. I'm not so convinced. Those of us who have received phone calls back, we've heard you saying that there's nothing that you can do, that this, has been said that we're talking to the wrong people. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. You are our city council. This is our city. And there is an office now where these lawyers for ICE, the people who are determining which children they're going to incarcerate and deport to countries that they've never seen before, have no memory of, those lawyers are working here in our community, plotting this action, defending the person who murdered Alex Preddy, defending the ICE agents and all of the atrocities that they're committing in our community. And I don't believe that there's nothing that you can do. At the very least, we'd like to ask you to send a letter or pass a resolution asking Redico to hold a meeting so that they can answer our questions. We would like to know for certain who is the tenant agency in the GSA lease at One Town Square. They have refused to state that. They are intentionally confusing the other tenants in the building, telling them that the lease is being used for GSA, which is not true. GSA has leased the space for OPLA, the Lawyers for ICE. We need the opportunity to speak to Redico. I know you all are kind of tired of hearing from us. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of coming here and talking to you all too. I think we would all rather talk to Redico and hear their answers. So please join us in asking them to hold a town hall so that we can get some answers from them about what's going on in that building. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Keeler.
Southfield residents. I'm surprised at one of the things that Pam has to come and say about every 3 or 4 months, that the residents are at the top of the organizational chart. The council picks and appoints our administrator, and he reports directly to you. I've asked you several times after the administrator said that the residents on Saco Drive denied having a sewer line put on there. We did not. He came here in 2014. I was here a decade before him. Most of my residents were here 2 or 3 decades before him. So he doesn't know. Second of all, has he given you anything, or have you even asked? Does he have any proof of this, of what he said? Have you asked him at all? Or do you even understand the grant given to you by Rashida Tlaib for $3.1 million? I'd like to see part of that $3.1 million go to the residents that live on Circle Drive, to pay for them to have new septic tanks put in, new septic fields put in. I would like to also have all the violations that code enforcement wants to come in repaired. We got the money for it. Have it fixed. I am a senior, and it is critical. I cannot sell my house unless it is attached to a sewer line. Is there a sewer line on Circle Drive? So I think you should look into some of these things. Your job is to ask the person that y'all appointed, is any of this true? I can tell you the Congresswoman knows it's true, that we don't have a sewer line there, and knows it wasn't the residents who said no. And it was indeed Lawrence Tech. And it was also the city that said we had an alternate route to put in a sewer line, and did not indeed follow through on what they said. So I'd like to see some of the things that have been promised done in the city. And I'll be bringing up other issues that have not been done and or followed through by your appointee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Robert Barrett. Robert Barrett. Sue, oh, sorry. Okay.
Hey, good evening. If it's okay, just delay my portion to when we get to that dome conversation, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sue Egbert.
I didn't really have any comments for right now. I wanted to hear about the rezoning of Lincoln Drive, and then I might have something to say or add.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shasad Johnson.
Hello, I'm Chasha Johnson, they, them
My
pronouns, Southfield resident of, oh gosh, almost 5 years now. And I'm also here with the Southfield Neighbors Action Committee. I'm not going to repeat anything my friends have said, but I just wanted to make it known that we are really eager, I think, as you've realized, to be partners with you all. As it's been said, whether or not you have the power to overturn this lease in particular, which you obviously do not, we elect you to represent us and take care of our city. And so it's natural, I think, that we are looking to you for a little bit of support and help on this issue. We understand you're our local city council. We're not asking for a magic wand. We're not asking, I don't think it's reasonable for us to ask you to overturn the lease or do anything that's out of your control. We're just asking for reasonable partners. Like Lauren said, like my other friends have said, like, we know Redico is the one that we're trying to point, or like they're the ones that have power here. But you guys have more power than we have. So except, en masse. But we're trying to be civil, and we're trying to just work collaboratively together. So I hope that you are able to just come to the table with us in Redico, help Redico understand that this is not what our community needs. And until that happens, I'm going to have to be here at every city council meeting that I can afford. And I know that me and all of my friends are going to do the same, because this is an issue we care a lot about. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jessica Merrick.
Hello, my name is Jessica Mahalik. I'm a
My
resident of
apologies.
Southfield. That's okay. I've been living in Southfield since 2011. I first came into this building when I rezoned my house for my in-home daycare, and that was back in 2018. What I learned then was that Southfield holds standards for businesses above their legal obligations. I'm here today to talk about the OPLA lease for Redico. I'm deeply concerned. I do not want this in our city. We should not want this in our city. We do not want to be known for having ICE lawyers headquarters in our buildings. To me, that does not look good at all. I know that the lease is already established. What we're asking, well, I'll go back and say that I saw that there was a resolution posted a month ago regarding this issue, and I just want to say that it's not enough. We need more. We need to actually talk to, I think, Redico, or have some kind of ad hoc sort of meeting or something to address this issue, because it is important to a lot of residents. They may not all be here today, but they will be here trickling in, and we don't want to waste anybody's time who have important things to go over. This is an important thing, though, too. It's regarding safety. The last time I was in here, we were talking about the gun shop that was going to open up next to the daycare. It was another issue that I was deeply concerned about, and after leaving that meeting that night, I thought, these guys have my back. They will keep my city safe, and you did that. You weren't able to do anything about the lease, but the daycare owner was. Thank goodness for that. But what you did do was change laws so that now this can't happen again. I'm asking that you can change laws to make it so that ICE people working for these people who have notably done illegal activity, inhumane illegal activity, I'm just asking that there be some kind of resolution where maybe zoning is put into place where residents can say whether or not they want this in our city, and to move forward from there. So I'm looking for you all for help, just any way you can. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Keith Harris.
How you doing today? I miss you guys. I have to take my hat off today because I did not know Ms. Talley was going to be here. But today, we're asking for a recall on some awards that was given by the Black Caucus. And these awards were given to the wrong people. We felt like Ms. Talley flowers were stolen. Her flowers were stolen. These people received awards, and when we were at the award ceremony, we asked Mr. Persons, how are you an outstanding individual? I didn't see your name in that little red history book. How is your wife's name in that history book? I didn't see her name in that little red history book from somebody who wrote it. You know, but what I am disappointed in, when I looked and said they were looking for the most outstanding African-American people in Oakland County, me and some of the people stood up and said, where is Barbara Talley? Where is Langston Lewis, the first black judge? Every time I look at my wife and see her educated and at the top of her field, I think of Barbara. When I see my daughter, who's an executive for Ford Motor Company, I see Barbara. When I see you black women up here, I see Barbara. I'm demanding that these awards be returned to the Black Caucus. And we're going to reissue these awards to the Oakland County African Americans who have worked for them, who have stood for them. I came here to talk about something totally different. But when I seen Miss Pat Talley in the hallway, I said, hell no, you got to get your flowers. My grandmother told me, don't bring me my flowers when I'm dead. I'm going to make sure Barbara get her flowers. And I'm going to make sure all you beautiful black women up here and everybody stand. And we get Miss Talley her award and her flowers for being one of the most outstanding African-American women I've ever seen. She blazed the way on the city council and ran for mayor. We cannot forget this. Sorry, Miss Talley, my hair ain't combed. But I love you. I got daughters who's following you. And you're going to get that award. These are the names of the people we want all those awards back from. We're not asking, we're telling. Joe, give them up. Give them up. Barbara Talley, you should have been in this book right here. This should have been you in this book, not those bums.
Pam, Gerald.
And let all of God's people say amen and amen again. You know, at the last meeting, I was talking about council representatives, not mentioning any one particular name, but what you do with your campaign finance reports, how you filed them, all the errors and omissions that you have, and the fact that you pay your fines late, it reflects, in my mind, what you do with your performance on city council. So if you can't turn in your campaign finance report on time, why should you represent the people? Now, maybe we should get an ordinance or have a council rule that says, when you get elected to council, if your campaign finance report is not closed out by the deadline given to you as a candidate from the county, you cannot be sworn in. If you owe money, you cannot be sworn in. If you have not corrected your report, you cannot be sworn in. I've been around this city for 45 years almost. And I agree with what Keith said. All of us have looked at Miss Barbara Talley. She was the first African-American elected to city council, the first African-American female, the first African-American female to run for mayor. And there was a discrepancy about 99 or 93 votes. She walked away and said, no problem. But she's done everything else. I don't recall her being late with her campaign finance reports, having errors and omissions. So why do you guys have it? So if you want to do something for the people, because I've said for 35 years the citizens are at the top of the organizational chart, pass an ordinance that says if you don't do your due diligence as the city's fiduciaries, then you should not be sworn in. Instead of trying to be an auditor, instead of trying to do a city budget as a council president, do your own, but let Austin Michaels, Fred Zorn, and John Mishrina do their job. Stay in your lane. And your lane could start off with the car, so to speak, of getting your council campaign finance figures in order. So now if you're late, you haven't done your due diligence, come on off of that dais and sit out here with us.
Amen.
That concludes communication. There's a couple of items that I want to respond to. One, we can all agree of all the contributions and the shoulders that we all stand on in honoring Ms. Barbara Talley. So, I wanted to start with the thing that is truly important to me, to make sure that she hears how we feel about her. So we respect you, we appreciate you, and thank you for all you've done to start and blaze a trail for all of us who sit up here on this dais. So thank you. There was a couple of comments related to the lease over at One Town Center. And I just want to make sure that I repeat and clarify a couple of things. When I spoke last on this issue on behalf of the council and the city, I said there was limited things that we can do about that lease. There were also several things that I said that I would do on behalf of the council and things that we can do as part of a council to protect the interests of our constituents. Number one, as I mentioned before, we being on this dais and in this audience and all those who are watching, need to be reaching out to our federal elected officials. I've reached out to several, including Haley Stevens, as well as Rashida Tlaib, to voice the displeasure of our city. That's our job. And you're right, we are part of that tree, and that's our role. The other thing that I want to remind that I stated was that we can enforce an improper use of a building via our ordinances. What I heard clearly was the fear of One Town Center becoming a detention facility. Are we supportive of the actions of ICE? I can speak for myself, absolutely not. And that's part of the things that I voiced my displeasure related to that. Where I said, what can we do as far as the lease or demanding Redico to speak? I got several email inquiries where I asked, well, what questions do you have that I can work to see how we can have that meeting? Because, to be quite honest, do we believe that the meeting, if so be established, would you all want to be on the end of the comments or concerns that may be lifted for something that they legally cannot do? They can listen to your concerns, but realistically, is that the best use of time, effort, and energy? I would rather us work collaboratively to push for process and practices being changed for ICE so that we can eliminate the real concern, moreover, than having conversation about the lease. We're not trying to convince anyone of anything other than we are standing by what we said we would do. I honored my commitment where I asked specifically Redico to see if you can cancel the lease, face to face. I asked to see the lease so I can understand the terms and conditions, so that I can understand what we can do as a council if something were to not appear as it should. There were comments made related to the sewer line. I'm not sure if we're prepared this evening to give that comment, Mr. Administrator.
Thank you. There have been prior communications sent to the speaker on this, and I will get those shared to the full council. But I just want to pull up, this is a communication that was sent out in October of 26, and the Circle Drive facts, 26 lots, and this is from our city engineer, Lee Schultz. 26 lots that are not part of the formal LTU campus property and do not have access to public sewer. 20 lots are owned by LTU, 14 of those lots are vacant, 4 are occupied, 2 are lifetime estates, 6 are privately owned, 1 vacant, 5 occupied. The cost for the sanitary sewer, I'm just going to quickly go over this, I'll send this to the full council, give it to the clerk. This was in 2014 dollars, $413,303, with engineering costs at the time it was $508,000. On a per parcel basis, $19,554. The cost does not include private property conversions. And once the sewer's installed, the average cost is about $13,000 to connect that private function from a public sewer line to the home. So to hook up the average home, it'd be about 32. If you were to do all the homes, it'd be about 33,000 per home. We've gone through this at any time. The residents can come forward for an SAD. There was a reference that in fact, did happen in the late 90s. Yes, it was prior to my coming to the city. The records indicate there were a number of neighborhoods that turned that opportunity down. They can install septic systems on private property. They can be replaced. There's nothing that says they can't. In fact, one family has recently put in a new private septic system. Regarding the funds from Rashida Tlaib, from our congressperson, there are income qualifying guidelines. We just received that notice. We hope to have that program up and running this fall. I'll share this entire communication with the full council, as well as the previous letters that were sent to Mr. Keeler. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This concludes communication. We have 3 sets of minutes to be approved.
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
I'd like to move the approval of the Committee of the Whole minutes March 9th, the Committee of the Whole minutes of March 16th, and the regular meeting minutes of March 23rd.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Council President Pro Tem Hogue. Are there any discussions and/or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We now transition into the consent agenda.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve consent agenda item A, receipt of bids for as-needed asphalt repairs. B, receipt of bids for as-needed concrete repairs. C, reimbursement agreement with the Road Commission for Oakland County for 2026 street sweeping services, 2026 summer maintenance agreement, and then an added item of D for the Orchards Children's Services gaming license raffle on 4/30 that we received today.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue and supported by Councilman Mandelbaum. Are there any questions? Councilwoman Banks.
Yes. Under the fiscal impact portion, I'm not sure if I understand why money is coming out of contractual professional account for both of these items. Can that be explained, please?
Which item?
Both items A and B.
Because that's where these expenses are budgeted, contractual professional.
So concrete repair programs fall under contractual and professional services?
Yes.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's typically the line item we use for our engineering services.
But also for our contract services, so like crack sealing goes there, concrete repairs, asphalt repairs. There's a variety of contractual services that are, so it's contractual and professional. The engineering services are professional. The contractual services are the contractors, asphalt, concrete, crack sealing, street sweeping, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We now transition into our public hearings and site plans.
Good evening. Our first public hearing is PSLU 26-0001. It's Special use request to add a Class B used vehicle dealer to an existing vehicle storage facility at 20855 Telegraph Road. Existing zoning is I-1 industrial. Vehicle sales are conducted entirely online and customers do not come to the site. All vehicles are stored inside the existing building. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., public access by appointment only, and Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon, public access by appointment only. Existing zoning and future land use are shown. This is the site aerial. This is the view from the Telegraph off-ramp on the southbound. Existing site conditions. Primarily, this is used for an indoor storage of higher-end vehicles that are sold online through their dealership, which is located in another community. This is off-site storage. And with that, I'd like to have the petitioner come up, and you can go through your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Douglas Mason.
Good evening.
Awesome. So I'll talk a little bit about 248 Garage, my company. We do interior professional services for cleaning, detailing, window tinting, paint protection film, and then we also are a car storage facility. Our two buildings in the city of Southfield are our main car storage facilities. This is our Woodward building where most of our public interaction takes place. On the right, you can see Archer, our dog and employee of the month every month. This Woodward Avenue building, like the gentleman said, is where most of our public interaction takes place. 99% of people will see this as our only public-facing location. This is our Bridge Street location, directly behind the building you saw at the very beginning. It currently houses storage vehicles. It is very unassuming. You could drive past it a million times, not know anything's there. That is the point. This is the new building. It does have a sign on the front. However, there's no outward public access. It is completely fenced in, and it stores vehicles. So at these two buildings in our Southfield area codes, we just do storage. They're not really open to the public. And then our Woodward building is our customer-facing location. We were requesting a used car dealer license, not to be a normal used car dealership with vehicles out on the lot or to provide those kind of services. It's going to be extremely low volume and niche for our customers. When people come in and specifically request a certain vehicle, request to sell one of their collector enthusiast vehicles, this allows us legally to handle titling, taxes, plating, and all of those services for people. Our services are completely done online. There's no need for people to come to our buildings. Again, a little bit about a traditional used car dealership, as there's many others on Telegraph Road. They have salespeople. You walk in, you can test drive a vehicle. If we have no inventory on our website, nothing is advertised. It is purely for private use. And a little scenario about how we do car sales is we use platforms like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, or other online services where if you had a vehicle you'd like to sell, we would represent it for you to a nationwide audience, handle the transportation logistics, making sure you don't get scammed when someone sends money, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
The public hearing first, and then we'll bring you back up for questions.
Yes, sir.
We will now have a public hearing for PSLU 26-001, special use request to add Class B used vehicle dealer to an existing vehicle storage facility.
For public hearings, we are required to give our name and address for the record. Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037-0155. I just wanted a little clarity in terms of the used vehicle sales. So are you going to, as the petitioner, provide the ability to sell the cars that are in storage to interested onlookers is one question. And then the second question, if he could go into a little bit more detail in terms of the detailing the cars? Is that done at the Bridge Street location or primarily at the Woodward location? But I love the name of the company. What's our area code? 248. What do you have? A garage. I like it. So if you could just really explain that, I would be in favor of this particular initiative, A, PSLU 26-0001, if it's going to help your existing customers sell their cars. Thank you.
Are there any more comments? This concludes the public hearing. Mr. Petitioner, Council, do you have any questions for the petitioner? Well, let him answer his questions first.
Okay.
If you could please answer the questions and comments that were posed.
Yes, so our detailing services and our public-facing services occur at our Woodward building. So people drop their vehicles off to get cleaned, not uncommon to clean dog hair, puke, kids' general stuff out of many minivans. That all happens at our Woodward building. These two buildings are specifically designed for car storage. And the used car dealer license is for, technically it allows us to sell cars for anyone, but its primary use in our business is to either help our current existing clients or help people with very specific needs for vehicles. Yeah.
Council, do you have any questions for the petitioner? Yes, sir.
How many employees we have at this location?
So it is currently me, my fiance, and I have one other full-time person, and then I bring people on part-time, usually that are working in college when the season gets large, but we're a pretty small business.
Okay. And I don't want to get into any proprietary information, but
Yes,
how
sir.
are you classified by the IRS? How are you taxed? As a dealership or as a, what's your category?
I think we're technically an S corporation, sir.
Well, I mean, just the, yeah, S corp or C corp, but how do you classify it? As a dealer or used car? How do you, when you fill out your tax return, what do you?
So we are I forget the general, there's a specific code. We have 3 technical companies because a used car dealer license has its own LLC. So depending on what entity you're being serviced by, in our company it is taxed differently. We have a detail shop, a storage facility, and a used car dealer license that all fall under the 248 garage umbrella. And they are all taxed individually and have different EIN numbers.
Okay, you said you have 3 LLCs?
Yes, sir. There's 3 separate companies that are all under the 248 garage umbrella.
Okay, all right, very good.
Councilman Mandelbaum, then, I'm sorry.
Just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
You're going to have storage at this location. I see you also have storage on Bridge Street.
Yes, sir.
And I don't recall if we asked this when you presented to us earlier.
Yes, sir.
Is it just cars, or do you have room for ice cream trucks, food trucks, things like that?
So we have thought about doing that, but primarily those vehicles would need to be stored outside. And due to the public-facing nature of the building, it's maybe a security thing. We don't want people to see that things are just sitting outside of the building. So at this current time, we only store things inside, and they're just too large of vehicles. Yeah, the biggest thing we store is like a large SUV or maybe a full-size truck.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. I forgot if you said, do you offer short-term storage for vehicles, like maybe 1 month, 2 months?
Yes, ma'am. All of our terms are month to month. We
Okay.
don't have any long-term contracts, and that was very intentional to make it accessible. We actually store a lot of vehicles for people that, go on short-term deployments and things like that, or have to, get moved it to a different state for a nursing position or something like that. So we do not just store nice or exotic vehicles. We store basically anything that, as long as it runs, drives, and is insured.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? Here are none.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that PSLU 26-0001 special use request to add a Class B used vehicle dealer to an existing vehicle storage facility located at 20855 Telegraph Road be approved.
It's been properly moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Brightwell. Any additional questions? Here are none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Good evening.
Through the chair, our next item is PCZR 25-0004, the request to conditionally rezone 24050 West 9 Mile Road from I-1 Industrial to B3 General Business. This is an existing shopping center on the north side of 9 Mile, just west of Telegraph Road. Current zoning is I-1. Future land use is Southfield Technology Corridor. This is the site aerial. There was like a restaurant in there at one time. I believe there's a medical office there, but it's mostly vacant. The developer is proposing the conditional rezoning to exclude a number of undesirable uses, which include marijuana business, pawn shops, homeless shelter, car washes, gas stations, sexually oriented businesses, soup kitchens, smoking lounge, oil change, car repair, tire sales and service. And these are the permitted uses, but specifically, he'd like to open up one of his medical office practices on the site and have personal services, including a laundromat. And with that, I'd like to have the petitioner come up, and he does have a brief PowerPoint presentation.
Hello, my name is Walid Asta. I'm the owner of the building on West 9 Mile, and this is regarding rezoning of the. Regarding the rezoning request from light industrial to conditional B3, and as mentioned, I would like to, I agreed to exclude certain probably undesirable businesses, and just a little background about myself. I'm a medical doctor, and this is my medical practice in Dearborn. The building to the right and to the left is a building that I also own. And in that building, I operate a 24/7 coin laundromat, which is just next door to my medical office. And this building has been there, this laundromat has been there for over 3 years. And I managed to maintain a good services with clean and safe environment, and I have over 450 reviews, 4.8 stars, and I treat all my businesses the same way. I treat my medical practice with professionalism and taking care of the customers/patients. And this is how the building was when I purchased it to the left, and this is how it is now. I turned it from the industrial vacant building to a nice looking commercial building. Nothing was spared in fixing that building. And I would like, this is the pictures of the building, of my current laundromat. It's a modern, state-of-the-art, new equipment type of laundromat. And this is what I have in Dearborn, okay? And these are more pictures there. And this is what I'm trying to replicate the same experience in Southfield. This is the building in question. Currently, there is 3 units. The middle unit is a medical doctor office, and it's still occupied. There's an internist there who works there. And the 2 units on the east and on the west are currently vacant. So my plan is to move the medical office to the west and transform the middle and the west units into also a 24/7 laundromat. The internist is staying in that medical office, and I am going to be joining that office also, doing a day or 2 in that medical office. And the 2 units on the right will be a 24 hours laundromat. We're going to do a facelift. We're going to put good lighting, good security. It's going to be like, a nice, good looking building as well. And this is not just a business. This is just also to address a need in Southfield. Statistics show that there is a need for 1 laundromat every 10,000 residents. And also statistics show that most laundromat customers live within 1 mile of their desirable laundromat to go to. Southfield has about 77,000 residents. However, there are much fewer laundromats to account for the need. And so this will be filling a gap. And these are the laundromats that I found, and this is a search that I did while I am in that location. The closest one is within 3 to 4 miles, which is like way more than the 1 mile desired location. And the value of the 24/7 accessibility in my Dearborn location, about 1/3 of the customers come between midnight and 6 in the morning, and this helps people with odd shifts, like nurses, like bus drivers, also parents who have to take care of their kids before they put them before they can go and take care of their laundry. And in Southfield, there isn't such a service currently available within 3 to 5 miles. And regarding the safety, statistics show that Southfield is similar or little safer than Dearborn, and I was able to maintain a safe and environment in the laundromat in Dearborn. So I'm confident that I can replicate that in Southfield. The laundromat is going to be attended during the day from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. It's going to be unattended between 8 in the evening and 8 in the morning. However, there are cleaning crews that go all the time, even late and even early. And we have 24/7 camera surveillance recording, and we have all types of technologies to make sure that everything is safe, fire, flood, people who have problems with their machines, all this is taken care of. And for the proximity, the location of the building is not close to any immediate houses, so there's going to be no issues from people being annoyed by the light or by the noise at night. And as a conclusion, this is mainly a request to rezone from light industrial to B3, and this is also mainly to meet a public need with opening the laundromat. Thank you.
So through the chair, this is a public hearing, and then we'll bring the applicant back to answer questions.
The public hearing for PCZR 25-0004, the request to conditionally rezone 24050 West 9 Mile Road, Southfield, Michigan, from I-1 Industrial to B3 General Business is now open. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. I just have a few questions for the petitioner. Number one, will you have cameras inside the laundromat, outside the laundromat, that would cover the parking lot, since you have those early morning hours of service for the third shift workers. Number 2, and this is not a big deal, but I guess my preference if I was going to a laundromat, the laundromats that are normally on the wall, they are what you call front loaders, and they tumble this way as opposed to being an upright where the agitator is down in here and it moves like this, like a super circulator agitator. So you might want to consider having front loaders for all your washers because you can get more in there. They won't tip and run out of balance or spin out of balance like a lot of your other washers would be. And then the other question is, he said medical, primary, and then Dr. O. What does that mean? Are you talking like medical services and then anesthesiology and they work together? If you could just expand on that, I would be greatly appreciative. And then I could support PC ZR 25-0004. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Mr. Petitioner, could you please respond?
Regarding the first questions, there are going to be cameras like literally everywhere, okay? Inside, outside, in the public area where people come to wash their clothes, and even in the like closed areas after hours. The cameras are like 24/7 recording. They are like they are backed up locally and in the cloud. Sometimes the police, like there's something going on in the area, not necessarily in the business. Actually, they come and they ask for footages and things, and this has been helpful. Not necessarily like, you know, somebody was driving down the road or something like this. They come, they want to see, locate the car, did it go from here or not? And so this is regarding the cameras. Did I answer that question?
Can you direct your questions or
I'm sorry.
comments to the council?
All the machines are going to be front loaders, and I don't know about this. Honestly, I've never seen them. But all these are brand new machines, like you see there. Brand new machines, very expensive. And the medical office, let me clarify this. So the westmost office is going to be a medical office. The existing internist is going to be renting from the LLC, and I am going to be renting as well from my LLC. So he's going to be there doing his own stuff. I'm going to be there doing my own stuff. I am anesthesiologist, but also I'm a pain specialist. So I do like use clinics to see patients face to face, not necessarily to put people to sleep or anything.
Council, do you have any? Councilwoman Haynes?
A couple questions. Will it be cash, or are they purchasing cards to use for the washing machines? How is that going to work?
All right. So there are several ways of using it. We have an app, a free app that they download, where they can put money on the app, and then they can control any machine. And with this app, there are other things where they can know when the laundromat is busy or not busy, how many machines are occupied or not occupied. And this is what we encourage the people to use because it's cashless. They can keep they get rewards on it. Also, they can gain, the more they use it, they get money. But there's also a lot of people like to bring their own coins. So there is option to use also the coins.
Okay, so there's an option to use coins.
Correct.
How often will those machines be checked for coins? Is someone coming often, like every 4 hours or?
For coins? Yeah, no, we don't need it that often. These are machines you can run for $5, $6, $7. So I would say we empty during business hours. Just the drawers where we put where the coins go have sensors. If it's opened, there's an alarm that goes, and there's an alarm that comes to me. And of course, like, I know there's somebody trying, this is after hours, but during hours, this is like from 9 to 9 in the evening. This is when we come and we empty the coins. Depending on how busy, we can do it 2 or 3 times a week,
Okay.
not daily basis.
And you have a vending machine for purchasing the different items?
Correct, like, yes, for soaps and stuff. But during the day, when the attendant is there, we sell also items through the window.
Okay, the signage there, it's kind of looking not so good that way. Are you gonna have some signage, different signage to state where you are, what, right on the street, where there's a sign there now? Are you gonna be applying for something like that too?
Yeah, of course. They're gonna be like whatever is allowed by law. I would like, as long as it's allowed, I want to put as much signs as possible, of course, within limits.
And just a quick question about the landscaping. You have a plan for the landscaping?
Already approved. Already approved. We have a site plan already approved by the city.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we talked about that. Also, you said the cameras are 24-hour.
Yeah.
Who's doing the surveillance for the cameras?
All right, so this is the story with this. It is 24/7 recording, okay? After hours, I also have motion sensors in all the closed areas after hours. So if anybody, like if there's any motion in the rooms where people shouldn't be there, there is a Wi-Fi connected with alarms that there's somebody there where it shouldn't be. Although there's cameras also in these areas and in the public areas. In the public areas, if nothing is going on, nothing's going on. All what's there are washers and dryers, okay? So I have the way to just open and watch, but honestly, there's no need to just keep sitting, like looking at people washing and drying their clothes. But like if there is anything out of the usual, and this is not just for the cameras, I have fire alarms, Wi-Fi connected.
Yeah, but my question was, is there surveillance? Is there someone monitoring the cameras?
Not just sitting looking at the cameras, no. I have the ability to watch whatever I want, whenever I want, but nobody is just sitting and looking at the cameras.
Okay, I like the concept and I like the idea. I'm just concerned about the 24 hours. I'll just be real honest. I am concerned about the 24
That's
hours. I mean,
legitimate
Taco Bell
concern.
is right down the street and it closes at, what we talked about, at 3 o'clock, and that's just my concern. The 24-hour and then the surveillance, if it's not really monitored, you do have to be realistic about the fact that there are things that do happen sometimes at night. And if there's a camera and nobody's watching it, to see how is someone going to know what's going on to report it?
Well, the cameras are recording everything, but just to draw your attention, even during the day when there's an attendant, it's not like the attendant's just looking 24/7, like looking at what people are doing, okay? But like honestly, people come, wash their clothes, they dry them, fold them, and go home, okay? And from my experience for the past 3 years doing the exact same business, people don't come for trouble. Honestly, they don't. They just come, wash their clothes, and leave. And in this public area, honestly, there's nothing really going on other than people washing their clothes. And by the way, although we're not there like as an attendant after 8 o'clock, I have cleaning people who come like as late as 11:30, sometimes midnight, or sometimes early 5:30. So there are people kind of just except for a couple hours, few hours.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick question. Are you planning to, first let me ask this, the restaurant that's there, are they closed already?
Yeah, before me, yes. It was
Okay.
closed before I purchased the building.
Okay. And you plan to make the laundromat the entire
No.
space there?
Two spaces will be the laundromat, and one space will be the medical office.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember what you said to that, so now that you said it, I remember. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell.
Terry, look, did we have did crime prevention take a look at this?
They're included in all the reviews.
So we have a crime prevention report on this.
Well, sometimes they make a report and sometimes they just review it. But we can have the doctor have them come out and visit and review his security plan. That is something that they do.
Okay, it's just, I don't have a
It's
problem with it.
it's our standard practice. The fire marshal and crime prevention reviews all plans that come in through our office. as well as engineering, building, planning.
Right.
We don't always get comments from everybody, but we provide that information for them. And if the doctor would like, the crime prevention will come out and review his security plan.
Okay, this happened to drift off to that area that created that thought pattern.
Yeah, as
So
you recall, for like the medical marijuana provisioning centers, we have a 21-point security review.
Yeah, this is just exploratory, FYI. The conversation seemed to have dropped off. Can we get a copy, or can somebody let them know we want to see it?
Yes, I'll follow up with them.
Okay.
Council, any other questions? Mr. Mayor, any? Hearing none?
Mr. Chair?
Sir?
I'd like to move PCZR 25-0004, the request to conditionally rezone 24050 West 9 Mile Road from I-1 Industrial to B3 General Business.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Councilwoman Banks. Any additional discussion or question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair?
Sir?
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 1832.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Council President Pro Tem Hogue. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Planner?
Thank you. Our next item is conditional rezoning PZR 26-0001, Yeshiva Ol Torah. This is to conditional rezone 16500 Lincoln Drive from R2 single family to ERO Education Research Office. And the conditional rezoning is to operate a private school with dormitories on the site in the future. It's currently zoned R2, planned for moderate density single family. Schools are permitted. It's just that the dormitories require the Education Research Office. This is examples of the existing facilities. They are proposing a conditional use to exclude any potential harmful uses allowed in the ERO, and primarily just allowing religious institutions, education facilities, and dormitories for students and quarters for instructors accessory to the educational institution. Existing site, I'd like to have the petitioner come up. Make some comments before the public hearing.
Hi, my name is Ari Kostolitz, Southfield resident for 18 years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. The idea is to, since our program goes from early in the morning to late at night, and for the safety of our students, carpool gets a little difficult at nighttime with the large families that we have in our community. So it gives the students opportunity, if the parents cannot pick them up, instead of walking home late at night, talking about 10 p.m., 13, 14-year-old kids, to stay in a dorm. This will not add more students to the high school. It's a pretty small high school. I don't see it being more than 60, 80 students at its max. I can't guarantee, but it's going to be small. It's a private school, private religious school, so I don't think it'll ever be too big. There'll be a dorm counselor, which will make sure there's nothing going on, but there really is. These are good students who just want to study, and out of the concern of their safety, we're asking to allow the city to have a dorm, and that's it. No other usage in the other, which allows, when you change that zoning, strictly a place to study and a dorm for those students who come to the high school. Thank you.
Okay, we will now open public hearing for PZR 26-0001, the request to conditionally rezone 16500 Lincoln Drive, Southfield, Michigan, from R2 single family to ERO Education Research Office. If you have any comment or question, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
PG, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. I personally think that this is a great idea. It's sad to say in the year of 2026 that our children are under assault, navigating from home to school, trying to navigate to the after-school programs. And shout out to all the parents that work these jobs to make things possible for their children. And sometimes when your employer is not always understanding, it's difficult to be there. And it's not like the community that I lived in many years ago, where it was the village and you could walk home and parents saw you and parents knew if your mother said stay home or don't go out of the yard. So I think it's a great idea, and maybe some of our other schools might explore the option to do that, to give the children a place to study, to stay so they don't have to walk that late at night. And I'm interested in just learning and knowing a little bit more about it. But I think it's a great idea. Shalom to the rabbi. And a little bit more information, I could be in support of PZR 26-0001. Shalom and Zagazon.
Are there any more comments? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Sue Egbert, and I live at 25579 Southwood Drive in Southfield, and I have some concerns about the traffic for the area. I understand the issue of safety for the students who might be walking, but Lincoln Drive, the road is just in terrible shape right now. Increased traffic sometimes has made it difficult for us to get out. I use Lincoln Drive quite a bit, either going towards Greenfield or Southfield Road, and sometimes it's just difficult. I also have an issue with, I didn't receive any notice about this issue, and I don't know, the only one I know is somebody who lives right across the street from the school. And I question why the rest of us didn't get any kind of notice about this. And I wonder how many units they're talking about. I guess those are my main concerns.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Hearing us, this concludes public hearing for this item. Mr. Petitioner, if you can please address the questions posed.
Thank you for
I'll address the notice question. So we're required by state law to notify all properties within 300 feet. Southfield has had a tradition of notifying properties within 350 feet. We also advertise in the recognized local paper as well as on our website. And if there's a viable homeowners association in the neighborhood, we also contact the homeowners association as part of our notification. So the individual may live just outside of that 350-foot notification zone.
But what about the neighborhood association? Did we send anything to them?
If they're legally registered with the city, we also send to the homeowners association board. And if there's multiple homeowners associations, we also contact them. So that even if they're outside of the 350 feet, if they're registered with the city, we send their boards a notification.
So do we know if any was there?
I can check the records. We keep records of all that information.
So I can answer that because I'm trying to restart the homeowner association in that neighborhood. Because I'm down the street from this location. So it's currently not active, so the city would not have sent it to this neighborhood association. There is one street over that I know a few residents did get the notice. I am familiar.
But do you know if that association, that's one
the street over.
That I don't know, but I do know residents on that street where the homeowner association president lives did get the notice. I am familiar with the previous speaker. I know which house she lives at, and it's directly across the street. A letter should have.
Well, we can check our record.
Yes, but a letter should have, because it's directly across the street. It's less than 100 feet, but, you know, as the planning department says, they keep a list of all the addresses.
Yeah,
they
and we
them
send
to.
it by first class, and it's presumed that it's been delivered when it goes to the post office. Now, we don't control what happens after that, but we do keep a record of all the addresses it was sent to. And I do have her address, 255, was it 79 Southwood? Yeah, I'll double check that tomorrow, but.
Councilwoman Haynes?
Has there been some discussion about the traffic? How is that going to flow, or, you know, what's happening with that? Are there going to be potential signs out there?
So I don't mean to cut you off, Councilwoman. Let's address all the issues that came up related to the public hearing, and then we'll have council questions.
Okay. Well, I thought we were doing that now.
So, Mr. Planner, did you have anything else before the petitioner responds?
Well, traffic was raised, so if you want to address that.
I'm sorry.
So what I appreciate what the residents' concern. I think this is the best. This is the best thing for the traffic. It'll be less people driving, and they'll drop the kids off there, and they'll leave them for 2-3 days, and then pick them up. So the traffic will be much better for the street.
If I could, it's already an active school.
Correct.
So the only difference is adding the dormitory. So the traffic is not necessarily going to increase. It may actually decrease with the dormitory.
Right.
But it's permitted as a school, and it's functioning as a school right now. So that's not the new use. It's the dormitory that is being added at the site.
Well, even with that, I mean, just like at college, you have a dormitory, you're dropping off kids, and the parking, and people are parking in different places, and sometimes there may need to be a sign to say no parking in this area where people may just tend to park. That's why I'm asking, are there going to be particular signs about no parking, or somewhere the flow of traffic? Because even though these kids are walking, there are still parents that are going to drop them off, pick them up, and it's going to increase, and sometimes where it wasn't, there will be now in some way. And I'd like to try to see if there's some preventive ways, especially if they're a residential area, where we can see how we can manage that, or, you know, perhaps address that before something kind of like happens. I know with schools, there are cars sometimes that just lined up, you know, and sometimes they block the street, or, you know, if you're dropping your kid off, you might think you're the only one, just drop them off like people do at Kroger, and they're parking in the spot that they're not supposed to be. So I'm just concerned, are there signs that say no parking, or 30 minutes, 20 minutes, will there be an increase in that? Just asking.
Well, through the chair, we can work with the applicant, but if you look up at the aerial, in this particular case, there is a large drop-off looped with parking, and then there's a larger parking lot adjacent to the school. But we certainly can work with you on a one-way in, one-way out circulation pattern.
Mr. Mayor?
I forgot if you would let us know, what is the capacity of the dorm? How many students?
It's a little hard to know because it's an option for the students. Right now, it's a small school. It's only 12 kids. Next year, it'll be 24 kids. We don't anticipate, again, I don't know, but based on our assumption, we don't anticipate the school to get more than 60, 80 kids at its max. That's what our assumption is. So take that and, you know, take a conservative number that half of the kids would choose to be at the dorm. So 30, 40, I don't think more than that. But I think it's very important to emphasize that these are the kids who are in school and just stay at the dorm. These are not extra kids coming to sleep there. So we're not adding any extra people. At nighttime, it's the exact same students who are studying, and they're going to be taking advantage of the dorm if they want to. It's their choice. It's totally up to them.
I was looking for a simpler answer. How many beds? Can you give me a number?
Right now, we're going to have, the plan is to have in the first phase only, I think, 32. That's it.
Is it 12? Is it 20?
32 right now, that's the plan.
32?
Yeah, I think, or 34. Either 32 or 34, I cannot remember.
All right, thank you.
That's it. But that's for down the road because we're going to have so many students, but yeah.
Councilman Mandelbaum?
Thank you. I just want to correct something. I did look at the speaker's address versus the school. It's more than 350 feet away, so that's probably why a letter was not sent out. As I mentioned also previously, I'm on the same street that feeds directly into this. I will say the driveway does have a one-way in, one-way out, so it does feed into it. Part of the congestion, because I too have the problem when I'm driving my kids to school, is between the Thompson School and then the other Jewish elementary school down the street at the same time. All the buses and cars kind of converge, dropping off their kids all at the same time. It's blocked, it's hard traffic for only that brief time during drop-off. The one thing that, and I did also, I went to a private parochial school and I dormed, not this school because this is brand new. So I'm familiar with the process. They start school at 7:30 in the morning, sometimes earlier, and they go until 10 o'clock at night, which is the reason they want the dorm, so there's no one walking home late at night or other times. That time frame of 7:30 start is before all the traffic starts for the other private school and for the public school. That traffic starts to start up about 8:15, 8:30. That's when it gets the most congested. This was previously a public school, so it's built to handle the traffic. We know that Lincoln needs a lot of love, and I know that our city engineer is working on a plan for it to even potentially make it easier during those rush hour carpool times. This is one of the things we keep talking about, how to bring more families into the city. This is another way. We have a lot of families moving into this neighborhood specifically for some of these private schools, and they want these educational opportunities. And I think this is just another notch in our belt that helps bring others from out of state into the city for these types of services that we can offer. Again, I agree that traffic can be bad, but I think the hours that this school will operate will not affect the main issues or the main time frames. So, thank you.
Mr. Brightwell.
I'm for this, but when it came up the last time in the conversation tonight, just sort of triggered this question: is the dormitory, is it required to get approval through the health department and or health overseers?
I think that through the building department, we're going to be acquired.
Yes, it's a private school, so they'd have to meet the building department's requirements for overnight stay. So with the sprinklers and access, ingress, egress, they'll have to upgrade to from just day use to overnight use, and that's a building department issue.
So we're saying that the health department has nothing to do with this. It's the building department can okay this building to house 32 or more individuals?
Yeah, they'll have to get permits for the residential through the building department.
Okay.
And we've hired an engineer already.
Yeah, they just can't put.
Excuse me?
They just can't put beds in there. They have to make sure that it meets the code to live there. It changes the use group.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that does the health department need to be involved in this at all?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
the building department would direct that. But the building department has the overview of the dormitory
So the
use.
building department gives certificate of occupancy and it's
That's
a done
correct.
deal?
That's correct.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
a curious
No
question.
problem.
All right, thank you.
Councilwoman Bland?
I was just going to suggest that you contact the public school. Of course, Thompson is right there, and I heard you say that your children will go to school until 10:30 at night. And I know sometimes they have events, right? So in order to be respectful to if you have children sleeping or whatever, let the school know that you now have dormitories so they can ensure that any groups that are meeting after school, or you know what I mean,
100%.
to be an honest broker with you all. I think that would be great.
Agree. Thank you.
For sure.
Sorry. Mr. President, I move that we approve item PZR 260001, the request to conditionally rezone 16500 Lincoln Drive from R2 Single Family to ERO Education Research Office with any conditions stipulated.
Support.
It's been moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue, supported by Councilman Mandelbaum. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we introduce ordinance number 1833.
Support.
It's been moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue and supported by Councilman Mandelbaum. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Planner.
Thank you. Our last public hearing is PZR ODD 25-0003, Petitioners Contour Development Group. The address is the Northland City Center Overlay Development District. They're requesting to amend the existing overlay district agreement and master development plan. Current zoning is, underlying zoning is RS Regional Shopping, but it has the overlay, Northland Overlay District, which is the guiding document. It's within the Downtown Development Authority. This is an aerial view, contemporary site. I'll try to do this quickly because I know you've discussed this, but I think it's just important to know that Northland Center opened in March of 1954, and that the mall officially closed in April of 2015, with the city acquiring approximately 125 acres in 2015. At that time, the city underwent a redevelopment plan. They began with steering committees, public hearings. Over 2,000 individuals took an online engagement. There was a design charrette, 2 city council meetings, 2 public meetings, 5 steering committee meetings, and 7 stakeholder meetings to come up with a vision plan for the redevelopment. And then subsequently, the city adopted Northland design guidelines based on the public comment. And it was important to everyone that was involved to have higher architectural standards that were complementary to the mid-century modern design of the original mall. We went through several development proposals, including a medical marijuana facility, a last-mile industrial delivery center, and then in 2020, Contour Development Group submitted a mixed-use plan for residential, retail, and open space that was consistent and complementary to the vision plan that the city adopted. In September 2022, Costco Business Center was approved as an amendment with some additional acreage to the original plan. And then in August of 23, the mixed-use development receives some amendments for the timing and scheduling. And there has been subsequent development review for additional building development. And the ODD revision submittal was to allow for a second big box retailer, sports dome, and updated construction phase schedule. These are the documents that I previously referred to. The final plan was a mixed-use development with not as significant amount of retail, but that there would be medical office, residential, hotel, a real lifestyle center that was walkable and had a number of green space areas and stormwater green infrastructure management. And here are some of the concept plans that created some civic space within the development and also utilize stormwater as an amenity for future development. So these are all concept visions that came out of the plan. Architectural design standards were established to guide the future redevelopment, infill development of the site. And tonight we're here primarily to consider a proposed sports dome facility. The plan does not currently allow for what we call a golf dome. It's more about the architecture, not the use, because recreational use is permitted. We did previously show other communities that have sports facilities under a more contemporary or architectural brick and mortar design. The Costco development, when they came to our community, they were willing to match the mid-century modern architecture of the former Hudson's building in the Northland Center. And here are some overlays of the Costco Building Center and the Sports Dome to the original concept plan, just for perspective purposes. So the proposed changes is an amendment to the master development plan, removal of the already demolished buildings on the north and south ends of the mall, addition of the proposed sports dome and its conceptual layout, condominium master deed updates, construction scheduling and phasing, table update, construction phasing plan update, general summary sheet update, and permitted uses exhibit to remove the prohibited use of a golf dome and add that to permitted uses. And then conceptual elevations, floor plans, and site plans have been submitted, but not yet a full site plan. So here's a revised layout with the sports dome on the north end, about 120,000 square feet. And then we included some of the original phasing approved. I believe phase 1A, which includes building A and B, were to be completed in 2023. And now the proposal is to extend that until July 30th, or the end of July in 2026, just for phase 1A, which includes buildings A and B. And then the subsequent phases would all be extended further into the future. These are just the detailed timeline changes that are proposed as part of this amendment. And then just wanted to again highlight that we're not opposed to the recreation use and facilities, including parks, because they're currently permitted. It's all about the architecture and the design that's not compatible with the adopted design standards in the redevelopment plan. So arcades, golf ranges, and golf domes are currently prohibited under the overlay development district. And again, just some details of what's being proposed, layouts of the interior, and then these are updated exterior images of the proposed dome, conceptual sports dome interiors. And with that, I'd like to invite the petitioner to come up to make some additional comments, and then I'll be happy to address any concerns that the council has after the public hearing.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, President Hicks, Mr. Mayor, Council members. My name is David Dedrukai with Northland City Center.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Harto with the Sports Dome, Detroit Rising Development. Thank you.
Scott Kalinowski with Contour Development.
Good evening.
I guess I just want to be clear today, what I had thought we were just going over was the proposed use for just the sports recreational facility only. So while we had provided other updates on phasing and timing schedule, that was never a completed package because we shifted due to timing and some constraints around that. So I guess I just want to be clear on that ask. And then the biggest thing we'll go through again is the amendment ask. So This prohibits golf domes and golf ranges. Our proposals including a sports complex dome, which will serve as a distinct purpose for the sports facility within the community. So we want to formally request that a sports complex dome will be a permitted use consistent with the intent and objectives of the district. And again, to clarify, an indoor sports complex is going to provide a flexible year-round controlled space for the community members to use and utilize. It can accommodate multiple sports. It's not just going to be a soccer dome or a football dome or a lacrosse dome. It's going to have all types of sports and activities for the community members to use, for the residents to use, and then for obviously sports teams and different universities or partners within the area. I got some main points I guess I want to highlight too after he just talked. So I know there was some comments about the development moving on a little bit slower than we thought, or things might have happened from the original phasing schedule. So this is a new slide that you guys would not have seen before. I'd just like to highlight that the total capital deployed right now from Contour Development is over $138 million to this site specifically. Through land acquisition, there's $18 million. Costco coming to the site was approximately $40 million. Infrastructure and site prep was about $28 million. Vertical development so far for buildings A and B, $44 million. As you guys are aware of, we also purchased the Northland Towers, which is the adjacent property to this. We're trying to convert an underutilized aging office building into a modern, productive, mixed-use environment and make that an extension of the Northland procedure. And with all of that money spent right now, it shows that we have significant capital that was already deployed. Our core infrastructure and our anchor tenancy is getting established. Our vertical development has been validated with in-place income, and our platform's positioned to move forward with the remaining phases. Second thing, just to highlight so everybody is aware of, I want to talk about some barriers of entry updates. I'm going to cover the first side first. So when we first bought the site, we were unable to have power to the site. So very important to have power, to be working, to be utilizing, to be doing tools, you name it. We self-funded and self-procured generators and fuel, spending over $2 million during this time period until the power has reached our site, which came in October of 2025 is when we first got power to the site. So because we wanted to show good faith, progression, we self-funded and spent an additional $2 million, more than we planned, just on fuel to be able to run generators to have some active power to the site. Still very constrained power, but it gave us power to be able to move forward. Talk about market execution in the last 3 years. Obviously, things have changed significantly since COVID. You got interest rates going up, cost of capital going up, which includes cost inflation for labors and materials, tightened lending standards, and reduced leverage when you're trying to go through projects. Not to call out people or talk about anything in a negative manner, projects of this scale, they take time. Over the last couple of years, there has been multiple large-scale redevelopment sites announced just in Southfield. I won't mention even in a broader area. Limited to no vertical construction progress has happened at any of those sites. This could be to many delays in zoning, planning, phasing, constructions, financing, whatever you want to say, but many of these projects still remain in a planning or early stage phase, which were signed at around the same time as us, if not maybe just a little bit later. The differentiation with us is we have $125 million deployed right now, plus, which we're higher than that we just talked about. We have Costco delivered, which is a regional anchor. Our 200 multifamily units, which is units buildings A and B, are on track to open in the next few months, as Terry covered. And our infrastructure and entitlements are fully executed. So while other people are still in their planning phases or pause, our project is still materially advancing.
Excuse me, sir. Can you just step a little closer to the mic?
You got it.
Thank you, sir.
Do I need to cover anything else, or just keep going from there? All right, perfect. So I guess just to make points, there was an article today posted by Cranes just about malls and the readaptive uses and how people are going forward and moving things. You could think of them, I won't say them out loud. We are the only one that has made significant progress in the redevelopment. While it's gone slower than maybe we anticipated in the beginning, we've still made meaningful progress throughout this. And this will be a catalyst to that progression throughout the site. We've covered a lot of these slides already. You saw the renderings, but there's just a few more key points we want to talk about. Again, this is the proposed ODD amendment, clarification of recreational uses, sports complex dome. updating this site layout, represent a strategically balanced evolution of the Northland Master Development Plan. These revisions presented reflect a comprehensive evaluation of evolving market dynamics and the shifting real estate environment over the previous years. We've carefully assessed all of our options, conditions, drivers, and long-term development opportunities to get to this plan on where we're at. And most importantly, we have the tenant, we have the operator, we have the person, we're ready to go. This is not a plan, this is not a concept. This is somebody that believes in the city of Southfield, somebody that's ready to make an impact and provide amenities to the children, the youth, and the community of Southfield. I would like to make a couple more points before we turn over to Jonathan here. So again, this is a 100+ acre mixed-use development. A soccer dome complex is going to be bringing hundreds of thousands of people throughout the year, which will also have an economic impact as well. But in addition to that, I want to talk about realities. Terry shared a couple different sports facilities that were up there before. Taylor was one of them and a few other ones. I go there, my kids play sports. None of them have been built since 2005, I would say the earliest. Things have shifted so much since just 2020. You can't go back 15, 20 years and talk about a building then. The cost to build that building now would be 5, 6, 7, 8 times what it cost then. There's economics behind everything, and I just want to make sure that you guys understand that, the difference in between that. So the current market conditions, why we're talking about this, elevated interest rates, cost of capital, the continued construction, heightened of costs and pressure, limited availability of financing for large-scale facilities, that it is not feasible at this time to create a permanent, fully enclosed sports complex structure of a comparable size and programming that we want to deliver to the community. And a traditional facility would, again, just to recap, require significantly higher upfront capital, extended development timelines, and a material greater financial risk. Our Sports Dome activation solution is this activates the site right away with a year-round recreational use. It supports youth sports, leagues, and regional tournaments. It'll drive consistent foot traffic to surrounding businesses. It'll enhance the overall live, work, play environment for the community. And it will be a community benefit to realize an amenity now, rather than waiting for timelines and planning to know how long that could happen, 2-3 years if we try to find a user and build a full-time facility. Economic benefits, to recap again, increase regional visitors and sports tourism. It's going to have support for local businesses, restaurants, and retail. It's going to have expanded recreational opportunities for our residents to enjoy, job creation and ongoing economic activity, and enhanced vibrancy and activation of the development overall. I want to just make clear about, without approval of the Sports Dome, some of the implications that we could run into here. This amenity will not be delivered in the near term. The site will lose a key driver of activation and community engagement that we're hoping to activate. Economic and tourism benefits associated with the use will be deferred. We do not know how long that will be. Loss of a dedicated home for local teams and community members, limited access to consistent year-round recreational space and programming for our community residents. The broader vision of a dynamic experience-oriented district will be impacted in timing, and the loss of complementary tenants that we have in place that all want to come because of the use that we're bringing here with the Sports Dome, including clinics, a pub, and sports and athletic clothing stores. I'll turn it over to Jonathan now.
All right, thank you, everyone. This is the second time in front of you guys, and I really appreciate you guys taking time to hear my presentation. They kind of read off a lot of what my presentation is. Mine's going to more talk about why the Sports Dome use is important in understanding the catalytic benefits of what it does to the whole facility, the community in that space, not just for our use itself. So, again, introductions, who are we? I'm Jonathan Hartzell. I'm the principal of Detroit Rising Development. There's a weird note there. We're a company that was born from looking at need-based development. I had a group of people, we asked ourselves, what are we doing to invest in one of our key assets in this area, which is Detroit City? We weren't doing anything but entertaining there, but we wanted to put our expertise, money, and time into investing in a community that we all share and love. After several years, we decided that we would invest and build a food hall near LCA in Midtown. We originally were going to Corktown, but the city of Detroit asked us to come take over a land that was vacant for 30 years because they wanted us to be that third space behind two catalytic drivers. One was LCA being built over north of the freeway there, and the other was Brush Park Residential. So they had people being driven there, and they asked us to create third space. Third space is important because it allows people dwell time and space to be and exist. When you live there, you can entertain so much, but you also want to have, that outside of the house experience and while you stay in community and neighborhoods. So I'll get to the whole, I'm sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself, sorry. But the key is we've focused on, important developments that we felt like were unique to underserved areas and areas that were obsolete. So we focused on that, sorry. All right, why are we here? I think we've read this already. We're proposing to build a sports complex at Northland City Center to serve as a dynamic year-round destination for community. Currently, the design guidelines for Northland City Center do not permit dome structures, which are a central feature to our planned complex. We are requesting a revision to the guideline to allow a dome on site. Incorporating a dome would create a flexible facility that can host sports, recreation, community events throughout the year. The design not only maximizes community use, but also complements surrounding developments and supports city goals of adaptive reuse, economic activation, and vibrant public spaces. All right, so I was mentioning earlier, I think I went ahead on this a little bit, and I'm sorry. But the key is I have history of building third space. I have history of building areas that have vibrancy and small business, and I know that's a real key for you guys in the redevelopment of the space. I think I heard in our last meeting that people had a lot of life experience at the mall that was there before, and they kind of really want that out of the space. They want that place where youth can go and young adults and people can go and walk and believe in that space. Part of that isn't always big box, sorry guys. A lot of that is small business that takes up residency in your community and makes that their home. And that comes through catalytic experiences. They don't just show up because we built it. They need something that drives them. Detroit Shipping Company houses 7 small businesses that wouldn't be on that vacant street if not for LCA, Masonic Temple, and that residential that was built there. This allowed them to say, I can trust this community that's been vacant for so long or empty because I know there's drivers and traffic here for our business to thrive. Lansing Shuffle is the second project I did. The city of Lansing had toured Detroit Shipping Company, and when they saw that, they thought they had a building on the Riverwalk there that was rebuilt and reimagined for a vibrant downtown space, and after 10 years it had gone vacant. They had one tenant left. It had economic drivers, but it was missing certain pieces to it. So when I came and said I can bring this back and make this space what you're looking for, I use that. It's right next to a convention center and it's next to a ballpark. Both have annual traffic that I could tell my tenants that, hey, I know annually in the summer and in the winter, this many people come through here. Therefore, tenants were comfortable taking up space in an area that, again, was vacant for many years. And now, since then, we've actually created a vibrant walking district in downtown Lansing. I bring up Livonia Athletic District, another project we did. We took over a vacant YMCA. We converted it into how modern training works. A big piece of this was we're next to city parkland and a school, and we interact with the city and community, supporting a lot of action there. We're by Madonna University, giving them an indoor training space during the day where they didn't have that before, so their students can come over on vacant time for us and fill key hours for them. Also, after school, parents pick their kids up and they use our space for after school latchkey. And then on the annual Livonia Spree, we partner with the city and we do a lot of activations, and we share parking lots, and we activate food and bev for that experience. So we're a very community-driven company that when we go somewhere, we get involved with the community we're working in. We don't just say we're here now. We say, what are you guys looking for and what can we support in that community? All right, what is coming? I think we've already read this. 120,000 square foot sports complex is designed to serve as both community recreation hub, regional sports destination. The facility will generate year-round traffic, and I'll keep saying that, it's year-round traffic. So again, if I'm a small coffee shop or if I'm a small sandwich shop, I know on every night there's a certain amount of groups that are going to come through at certain times. I can say I can do business there. I know what kind of traffic I'll have, and that can allow me to bring employees in and invest in your community. A It's a family-oriented recreational amenity for residents. It's a regional sports hub, draw participants and spectators from across the Midwest. It's enhanced sports tourism, increasing visitation to local hotels, restaurants, and retailers. And again, it's a catalyst project. This development supports Northland City Center to attract third space operators, activates the growing retail and entertainment district. I mean, I've heard Contour mention several times meetings that they've asked roughly 200 people to come into this space, including I was one of them. They wanted me to put a food hall there, and there wasn't a catalyst. And I said to them, you're going to really hurt a small business in here because they just can't survive unless you have some other driver that tells them what kind of traffic you'll have. And bringing back to the point on the feasibility, why a dome? I would love to build it out of a metal structure. I'd love to build out all those pieces, but it's just financially not reasonable. Construction costs on a project like this, for me, I'll be $5 million all in. If I were to go with metal or full brick or any of that material, you're in the $35 to $40 million. It just doesn't make it a feasible project. It's just a non-starter. Another piece of this site, and I think I've heard that some people said, well, there's possibly other sites in Southfield or around the surrounding communities. I'm actually receiving a lot of economic enhancements from the developer. I mean, the fact that there's water retention, utilities, curb cuts, and all the different on-site support they're giving me, I think they're bringing another $4 to $5 million in investment that I don't have to bring. Therefore, again, making this a financially viable space for me. We did host a public informational meeting, and we gave this whole presentation to everyone. We had a few more layers because we added in showing different exterior charrettes of where we wanted to talk about that we are meeting in every material we can on the hardscape material, exterior lighting, and landscaping. We allowed community to walk around, and they put up stickers and on that, and of course they chose the most expensive choice, but it looked good, so accepted. All right, community impact. A lot of this is repeated, but I really want to hone on this. The facility will provide year-round access to youth sports, leagues, camps, training programs, community events. In our Livonia place, we have Mom's Day Out, mom-to-mom sales. We have Silver Sneakers doing Tai Chi. It's not just sports, it's all the community members coming and using space. We'll have that same activity here. Again, it'll bring a positive activation of the site while meeting documented regional demand in indoor recreational space. We'll employ 20 to 30 direct on-site facility managers, coaching, referee, maintenance, and operations, and additional indirect employment supporting through local vendors, concessions, hospitalities, and service providers. All right. Community benefits and the sports tourism economic impact. All right, so the sports dome will serve as a key catalyst for the district. By emphasizing projected patron numbers and its strong regional draw, the facility becomes a primary differentiator that will help drive activity within the entertainment district and support future leasing opportunities in upcoming development phases. So again, hosting 15 to 25 regional tournaments. We estimate annual visitors around 200,000. This is direct visitor spending of $10 to $14 million, and it trickles down into all the different avenues in the space. Again, I have a family. I think someone else mentioned they had families. We travel to different towns. I have 3 or 4 kids in the car. We get gas. We stop, get food. You're spending money in those communities. It's extending dwell time. All right, Northland campus impact. All right, I think we have a couple posters here of the site. I know in the last meeting the question was, how big is the dome and how does it compare to the rest of the structure? So you can see our sports complex actually is well within the built structure sizing and massing of the whole community. It's not bigger than any of the other buildings on there. And the reality is there's 2.6 million square feet of built structure that is all going to be mid-century modern. So everything that was requested and asked of Contour is being delivered. We're actually building on an outsite where an obsolete parking lot is, and the building was demoed that was unsalvageable. We're adding in 120,000 square feet of catalytic performance in a building, right? So we're getting all 2.6 million of the mid-century modern design requirements. All right, again, catalytic economic behavior. The dome is expected to attract 200,000 patrons during peak hours, generating consistent supportive foot traffic for the surrounding small retailers. And I mentioned this earlier on dwell time, right? You're coming for that use, you're walking out of the building, you're stopping in to get food, drink. If there's a clothing retailer, unfortunately for some parents, their kids will get some clothing, but it just happens. It's dwell time that offers spend for the Contour and the surrounding community that's probably trying to lease up different spaces, this gives them that ammunition. When you look at a space as a retailer or like a food hall developer, you start asking traffic questions right away. How many annual visitors do I have on the site? How many drive by? Who's coming to the space? This gives them ammunition for that. I just want to point out that, just to show who I am, these are some of the small food vendors that I've actually leased and I house in multiple locations in my spaces. So when we go, we work hard to curate small food vendors that we think are going to be impactful in the community. We like to look at the community as a whole and ask ourselves, when someone walks into one of our facility, are they represented in the business that we were supporting? And that's what we bring. These food vendors all trusted me because there were anchors in that space. LCA, Comerica Park, Lugnut Stadium, the Convention Center in Lansing. In Detroit, out of the 7 food vendors, 3 now have multiple locations. 3 have actually become real estate investment partners with me and have done well because we anchored ourselves near catalytic developments. All right, well, what we're asking for you today is we ask that you vote yes to the design change. Again, positive impacts on this, building utilizing an anchored tenant, strong regional draw, $5 million in additional investment, a consistent annual traffic growth of 200,000 visitors. It's an increasing lease activity and enhanced walkability. Right? The negative impact is there's modification to the design element, but we're still delivering, meaning Contour, 2.6 million square feet of mid-century modern development. All right, thank you.
Through the chair, did you have anything you want to say, David?
No. Any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
The DDA director would like to make a comment before we open to the public.
Hello, my name is Molly Lalone. I'm the Executive Director for the Southfield Downtown Development Authority. On Friday, we had a regular board meeting, and we had Detroit Rising come and speak to us about the sports facility dome. And as a result of that presentation, the board updated its position from a conditional recommendation to full support for the sports facility at the Northland City Center. What stood out most was the impact. Over 200,000 people a year coming into the district. That provides a base for the small businesses, and it allows Contour to actually attract the businesses that we're looking for in that district. I know that what we're talking about right now is this doesn't match the mid-century modern design, which is required in the ODD. Why would we support that? Because the board is looking at this development through a long-term district view, not just architectural purity. But with mid-century modern planning, one of the roots of it is form follows function. So, meaning that the use of a building should drive its design. So I just wanted to put that out there. And as has been said before, this creates a destination. It creates a destination area. It creates a walkable area. I had a sports child, and I had a very rambunctious younger sibling of that child. And if I had been in a dome where I could walk outside and go walk somewhere with that kid, I would have done it. That would make a difference to me, being able to go walking my kid around and go shopping somewhere while the other child is using their energy more positively, playing soccer. So this does not fully match the original style, but it does strongly support the purpose of the district. And this is not setting a precedent to ignore ODD standards. This is more about interpreting them within a changing market context. Nobody can deny that things are a lot different. Things have been evolving and changing, and what we thought we could expect when all of the focus groups were happening is different now. So the core intent is to make a mixed-use activity with walkability and economic sustainability, and this project directly advances those goals. Council President Hicks, do you want me to read the letter into record? Okay. Dear sirs and madams, or mesdems, background. The Southfield Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors reviewed the proposed amendment to allow the sports facility at Northland City Center. The board focused on how the project fits the city's mixed-use vision and long-term plans for the Cornerstone District. At its meeting on March 27, 2026, the board received an updated presentation from Jonathan Hartzell of Detroit Rising Development. The presentation gave more detail on the project's size, timing, and impact. The sports facility is expected to bring over 200,000 visitors each year. This level of activity will support nearby restaurants, shops, and service businesses. The board believes building this facility early will help fill future commercial spaces by creating steady customer traffic. The board also recognizes Detroit Rising's success in redeveloping underutilized vacant sites in Detroit, Lansing, and Livonia. Their experience shows they can complete this project successfully. The facility is expected to open by November 2026, bringing activity to the site right away. As stewards of the Cornerstone District, the board believes the sports facility will bring significant sustained visitation to the district, support adjacent restaurant, retail, and service establishments, and maintain redevelopment momentum at the Northland City Center. Recommendation. Based on the updated information, the Southfield Downtown Development Authority Board has changed its previous position and now recommends approval of the amendment to allow the sports facility. The board values its role as a recommending body and appreciates the partnership with planning staff, planning commission, city council, and the development team. This recommendation is offered to support continued progress in the Cornerstone District. Thank you for your leadership and thoughtful consideration. Respectfully submitted by me. One of the first things when I got here in 2024 was to come to the Costco Business Center opening. It was really exciting. Everyone who was there was really excited. And I expect that this will be the same. One of the other things that when I first got here that I heard about was the soccer dome that didn't happen and how everyone really wanted one. I kept kind of hearing that theme. So I think this is kind of coming back to the things that this community wants, and I hope we can make it happen. Thank you.
Does that conclude your presentation? Yes. Mr. Planner?
It would be appropriate to have the public hearing now, and then after you ask your questions, I have a few final statements to make.
Okay, we will now open the public hearing for PZR ODD 25-003, the request to amend existing ODD agreement for the Northland Sub-Area Redevelopment Plan Overlay Development District to update the prohibited permitted use. If you have a question or comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Leo Pastor. I live at 22039 Seminole, Southfield, Michigan. I just want to state that I have 3 children. They all play soccer. We'd be very interested in having this in our community and think that you guys should amend to allow this development. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Matthew Kalt. I'm with the Oxford Capital Group. We're a real estate developer primarily focusing on hotels, and we've been working with David and the Contour team on the hotel portion of the Northland redevelopment for some time now that they mentioned in their presentation. The success of that hotel, or any hotel honestly, and our ability to actually build it will ultimately depend on the demand drivers in the surrounding neighborhood and city. If the hotel is able to be built, it will generate dozens of jobs and significant taxes of different various types, which should be beneficial for the city residents and the entire Southfield community. So along with the millions of square feet of office in Southfield, adjacent hospital, all the different leisure demands, the sports complex and event center would be a new material demand driver for the hotel, bringing in teams for tournaments, games, training, etc., many of which will stay overnight and generate a lot of additional hotel demand. and make it much more likely that our team can actually justify developing the hotel portion of the Northland site, which would should be very beneficial for the city. So we just wanted to voice our support for the project and hopefully support its approval. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Berry. I live at 122 East Baker Avenue in Clawson, Michigan. I'm currently the Director of Player Development at DCFC South Oakland, South Oakland County Soccer. So we are a nonprofit youth organization serving over 2,000 kids across southern Oakland County, with more than 12% of our players residing in Southfield, a number that continues to grow. So we're here tonight to strongly support the proposal, indoor dome project, right? The facility makes a meaningful difference for the organization like ours and the families that we serve and the families in Southfield as well. Right now, access to affordable indoor space, especially in the winter, is extremely limited. A dome in Southfield will allow us to expand programming, keep kids active year-round, and better serve the many players already in our system. It would also bring consistent business into the community with over 4,000 parents and supporters regularly attending games, practices, creating added opportunities for local business. Just as importantly, it would help us reach even more local youth, introducing them to the game, improving positive community-based opportunities. So we're excited about what this project could bring to Southfield and respectfully ask for your support in making this a reality. And really the coolest thing about all of this is it just creates additional opportunities for the children in this community and communities that surround it. So whenever we're doing something to support children, I think it's a wonderful thing. So we're asking for your support, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Matthew Williams. My address is 2104 Timber Ridge Court, West Bloomfield, Michigan. I was a 14-year resident of Southfield. My fraternity chapter is in Southfield, so I visit Southfield often. My job, I am the manager of baseball growth initiatives for the Detroit Tigers. So my job is to grow the sport, and coming to the city of Southfield would be, this would help immensely. We do host indoor camps all over the state and also Northwest Ohio and Northeast. We haven't gotten to Northeast Indiana, but we have gotten into the Upper Peninsula, which is a great opportunity just to grow the game. My kids have grew up and gone to school in Southfield, and having a facility like this at the state of the art as it is will just give them an opportunity for the Tigers and other organizations to come to this area to show that they can play sports in a high-level facility as this one. So I am in support and would love to see this come to fruition. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim McAvoy. My address is 203 Dewey Street, Royal Oak. I am the head coach for the Detroit Tigers RBI baseball program. The RBI baseball program stands for Reviving Baseball in the Inner City. This dome would give our athletes, who are primarily Detroit residents, access to a nearby facility that will supply high-level training for us on a year-round basis. It would be a huge benefit to reviving baseball in the inner city, and I am in support of this project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Perry. My address is 45865 Riviera Drive, Northfield, Michigan. I'm speaking here as an athlete and also as an architectural designer. Speaking from the athletics perspective, I competed in high school and I ran recreationally in college, in cross country and track. And as we know, in Michigan, it gets a little cold sometimes. And having a dome that our team was able to access allowed us to compete year-round, practice, and maintain our ability to really continue performing at our best ability with full practice availability, a space that can accommodate a full team with our full range of exercises, whether it's doing laps, sprints, or even just regular practices and strength workouts. And because of that, I think it'd be great to have in the community. And from an architectural standpoint, I really like the location of it in this site, the ability that it promotes the walkability to other spaces in the site. I know many times I left wanting to go right to get food. If you had the ability to walk to somewhere like a coffee shop, local businesses to support those, I feel like that'd be really beneficial, not only just for the site, the redevelopment, but also the community of Southfield. So, thank you.
Well, I think everybody knows that I'm in support of this project. I know we have some new council people that came on and was wondering if the petitioner had done this type of community outreach for people to say what they wanted. They did prior to you guys getting on council, so I don't know if you were aware of it, concerned, or involved when you were a civilian, but I think they did their due diligence, and I was at most of the visioning sessions that they had. I just wanted to encourage the petitioner to consider some other activities. When I was a younger woman many years ago, kickball was a really big thing for us. Being originally from Brooklyn, New York, we liked to jump rope. And one particular style of jumping rope was double dutch. If you go on Facebook, you've got some women on the East Coast that have never stopped jumping rope, and all of the women are 40 plus doing double dutch jump roping. So I just want them to not have your traditional sports that guys are always interested in, but to have something a little different that's not offered at our Southfield Parks and Recreation that a woman like me could be interested in. Other than that, that's really all that I have to say. I like the eatery idea concept that they're going to have a lot of healthy foods, salad, sushi. I don't remember all of the other things that were up there, but I want to say to this council, because a lot of you up there are just relatively new or just newly elected, this is a large project, and you can't just rush and put an unrealistic timeline on it, but you have to ask yourself, do you want a rush timeline, or do you want something quality that's going to stand in terms of the construction and the building of it? Think back to when one of our previous developers built that housing community down the street on 12 Mile called Pebble Creek. They built it really fast, they built some large homes, and within 6 months, the foundations had issues and cracks and a lot of flooding in people's basements. So, CELA, pause. Don't worry about a timeline, worry about the quality of the construction and the programming. I support this PZR 0DD 25-0003. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Iva Williams. I am a Southfield resident, the historic Northland Gardens community, and I'm located very close to this site. I am on the fence with this idea. I found it very interesting this evening. Two things. At the first presentation of this group, I think they agreed to have a town hall with Southfield residents. Maybe I missed the invitation. I did receive a presentation that I believe, after reviewing it, was the one that they presented at the first meeting. Secondly, everyone that spoke this evening in favor of the facility is not a Southfield resident, so they don't have any financial stake in the game. And I hope that we're paying attention to that, because they can come use our facility and go back to their neighborhoods while we are faced with the financial responsibility of any maintenance, insurance. So I just wanted to state that for something for us to think about before we move forward.
Any other comment?
Hi, I'm Chris Elan. I'm a Southfield resident at 17508 Dorset. So I have two kids that both play soccer, one Premier, one Elite. And the challenge that we have is that for something that's going to be year-round in a dome, we're now a 25-minute drive out to a facility to go play. And it's a real shame because I think there's other people in Southfield who have talented players that could have something right down the road. And so in the kind of the same context of being out there for practices, for games, there's a Hopcat right down the street. So first, anytime we're out for dinner, first consideration because it's right there. And so just being in soccer and being in that world, usually after games, looking for food, looking for shopping, that's, you know, since we're out there, we're looking. I'd also say, too, as someone who lives right across the street from it as well, and I'll kind of leave with this, is that since we've been there the last 7 years or so, we've had to stare at an empty hotel, and then we get on JL Hudson, and then we stare at an empty lot that's over there. You know, we have a project that's fully funded with LOIs. I really think we should consider doing it. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lana LaFleur Jackson, and I live at 17302 Roxbury Avenue, which is in Northland Gardens, neighborhood directly across the street from this. Along with that, I also work in Charnosa Tower, which is the old Hat Building, which is this facility. So I saw Costco get built. I've been living there in this neighborhood since 2009, and I've worked at the Hat Building for the last 3 years. I have 2 large dogs. I walk them regularly at this facility. Across the street, Northland, wintertime, regularly. My boys are big now. This is not a facility that they would use, but this is absolutely wonderful. I see no negatives. If the architectural structure is it, then there's no reason to stop this project. I've looked at abandoned buildings, the Plaza Hotel, raggedy, people throwing stuff out the windows, glass everywhere. Me and my dogs walking, they're throwing stuff down at us. I can see it across the street from my building, police cars all around it. Nothing has been there. I've known this neighborhood actually and resided in it since I was in the 8th grade. I used to walk across the street to Northland. I know this neighborhood. I know Southfield. We need this. The closest one is like in Walled Lake or Brighton. We need something that brings people of all cultures to our community. And this is it. And I don't understand why we would wait or hesitate by any means. I know it would raise my property value, and I am very excited about what it would bring as far as employment. I have a 17-year-old senior in high school. I'm looking forward to him having a job. I'm looking forward to the new foster care center coming in the Plaza Hotel, but all of these things are taking so long. My husband and I laugh about the Greenfield buildings that are coming up. Like, how long is that going to take? If they can get this up and running, why would we hesitate? Thank you all.
Hi, my name's Steve Cook. I live at 141 University Street, Ferndale, Michigan. And although I'm not a current Southfield resident, I was a former coach at Lawrence Tech University for 6 years. And I know when I was coaching there, if a facility like this had been available for all the sports involved there through the winter, that would have been an amazing facility to have available. So I think a lot of people have talked about the impact of the surrounding community and bringing sports into the community, but I think it will be an amazing facility for the youth of Southfield that won't have to, as the resident said, travel outside of Southfield to go and get a facility like this and play and take part in stuff that's going to really impact their lives. Thank you.
Any other comment? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. I'll ask the petitioner to come back to the podium to address some of the comments address the comments and questions that were posted.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. I think I only heard one possible question or comment, and it was about HOAs being invited. And again, this isn't, I don't know all the HOA, contacts. I emailed city council and city administrators and all that a week prior, but I didn't receive a list of any of the HOA contacts till the day of my meeting. So as soon as I got that through that meeting, then I sent out what we covered after. So I'm sorry that didn't go out sooner to everyone, but we did get out as soon as we could. Beyond that, I believe there's been a good mix of business owners, business investors, Southfield residents, and who are speaking in favor of it. So I don't know if there's many questions for me, per se, but I just wanted to cover that one item. Thanks.
Madam Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like one of the residents stated, where she was on the fence, I too was on the fence, but maybe not for the same reasons. I think I've always stated I supported this project. So any reservations that I may have had nothing to do with Detroit Rising development, but rather maybe my frustrations with the Northland project altogether. However, and I asked that my colleagues kind of keep in mind what I say, that shouldn't be at fault to this particular project. I also shared when you came before us that there is a similar dome in Livonia that I actually have frequented a lot, just simply out of not having anything to do, to be honest, to kind of get some walking in and going in inside. And it's a lot of buzz and activity over there by Schoolcraft College. And if you know anything about that area, not saying that that dome has done this, but they have built that area up immensely over there. There's even the Italian market that opened over there. So certainly, I do believe that it could benefit us. I know some have concerns about the look. I don't necessarily have the concern, but I understand it, but I can get past it because I know that all of the other certain facilities that I've seen have built it in the same way, and it's probably because of cost, as you stated. When we talk about other areas that could be in Southfield, I actually took a ride through the city, and I don't really know of that many places, guys, that we could put the dome, where I thought there was a place that would be a 12-mile just east of Inkster. There's a sign up about something that's going to be built there, and that was where the Top Golf was going to go. And so, again, my concerns is not with you, but just that, and I know projects take a while, but we're hearing things about, what's going on. So, that's a discussion for us to have later to, what's going to happen with the apartments and all of that. But I do support this project. I will be a yes vote. But I just want us to just, again, not let our frustrations with the overall development of that site to impact this particular project, because I do think it will bring the foot traffic. Again, as I stated, by Schoolcraft College, that area has just grown, and things that were shut down as a result of COVID has now opened up, and hopefully the same could happen for us here. Thank you, Mr. President.
Council.
Thank you.
In your presentation, you mentioned that should this go through, you hope to, your plan is to open by November of this year, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I want to thank you for the invite to the information session. I understand, not everyone knew about it, but you followed up. You had about 40 people. You sent a video afterwards with someone saying that should this development go through, that they also plan to build a restaurant. So, we do see that this is already starting to build some momentum. We always talk about everyone always says, we need more young people in Southfield. Now, I did hear the speaker say, a lot of the people who got up to support this don't necessarily live in Southfield. But maybe they'll move closer. And I can tell you, my son plays in SOX, South Oakland Soccer. And when in the winter, there's no fields available within a 20-minute drive. And I always say to him, nope, not going to happen, because it's winter. We're not going that far. We have to make a reservation. Over this weekend, I received a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts about support for this. A former member of the Southfield Parks and Rec Department sent me a text that if this was here when her children were playing travel soccer, this would have been perfect. I've gotten calls from schools, camps. Oh, when will it be built? Can we rent it out? There's a lot of excitement around this. I too understand the frustration with the development. Things take time. I understand, we want to see results. We live in an immediate gratification world right now. But I think this really would be a driver to bring other areas. We had a speaker, I think the gentleman said that he's looking at building a hotel, and this is just going to help. I can tell you that the soccer program, we had a lot of parents who spoke about the soccer program. Every spring, fall, they have a kickoff program. I can't always attend, but I did attend one that was in Oak Park in their new social district, and that place was packed. They brought in stars from the Detroit Soccer Club. The restaurants they closed out the parking lot. You had to park blocks away, walk, outdoor seating. All the restaurants, bars were packed. It really was an economic driver for that area. My only complaint was that I had to walk so far to get there because the parking lot was closed. But it really is something that will bring people to the city to use as it was mentioned, to use our restaurants, our gas stations. People are excited. I know that it's something new. You may not like the look of a dome. I think it's kind of neat. It's not necessarily that mid-century modern, but also I like to add a little new with the old. And I think that adds something. The location is not off of Greenfield. It's not off of the Northwestern Service Drive. It's tucked away a little bit, and I think that's also a nice part. Someone mentioned, the inside. This is a turf field? Because I know people said, oh, can we add basketball courts? Can we add driving range for golf? Can we do all these other things? There was a lot of excitement for this. People that have kids, people that play sports. I know Beechwoods, basketball is always big there. It's being rented out. The ice arena, we're adding another option of sports in Southfield that will bring people to the city. It will bring more users, bring families. And we always talk about wanting to bring families to the city. Now, Will they become residents? We can always hope so because we have more things to offer. But I definitely think that this is something that will be good for the community. The fact that you're already stating you can open in, was it 7-8 months, I think is very impressive. And while the other projects are taking place, Costco went up very quickly also. And I frequent that store more often than my credit card likes. But, that was also a change we made to the area, and that's been a big also economic driver to the area. So I'm definitely for this proposal. I think it would be very good for the city to have. I can keep going, but I will stop. If I need to, I can read in a letter that I received today from a resident. Again, this former member of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, but she was very supportive for it as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. While I am not against the sports dome, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful concept. I'm just not in favor of it at this particular area, and I would love to see it placed somewhere else in the city of Southfield. When we originally approved the Northland Development site, there were certain architectural standards that I personally was extremely excited about. And even within those standards, we talked about a boutique hotel. A rendering was displayed this evening. That's not my definition of a boutique hotel, and it's also not my definition of what we originally discussed for this site. And the original plan keeps changing and changing and changing, and I originally was excited about the initial plan. When Costco came, I was a little bit concerned, but they did work with the city to meet the design of their building, and if my memory is correct, they even made a few changes, which they usually do not do for a Costco store. So it blended in real nice with the area. So again, I think your project is wonderful. I'd love to see the dome placed somewhere else in the city, but I personally cannot support it here at this location.
Councilwoman Haynes?
I remember when I wasn't on the council, the mayor and I had a conversation when all the hoopla was concerning what was going to happen to Northland. There were several businesses that came forth with ideas, and the scary thought of even having stackable marijuana at one time was one of the thoughts, and depending on what side you were on, some were horrified, some weren't, but it was just an ongoing thing. And the thought then was, well, we got to do something. We need to hurry up and do something. Well, that's kind of sort of like the same thing now. I hear we don't need to hurry, we need to hurry. The great thing about when we had this discussion, the mayor and I, is that the decision was made later to do something else. And that something else is what's happening now, which is a great idea, which is the best idea, I think, for that area. And I kept hearing over and over, sports dome, but the most important word is sports center. That's what we wanted, a sports center. When you came forth, you said a sports center. I've been to Lansing a couple weeks ago for the CapCon conference, and I did see your development there. And I will say that area, every time I went to any conference I was there, I walked downstairs, you know what I'm talking about, and it has improved. It is a place where you want to sit, even when it was cold a couple weeks ago, it was just nice to walk there. So I understand your development and the way that you work. Very good work. So it's not discounting your work at all. There are a couple of things that we talked about here. Quality and standard. Quality is important. I remember I used to read my kids a book about the three little pigs. You know, you build a house, you build it on different foundations, and, you know, only one stood up. And I get that in terms of this. I want to read to you something. It said, the council adopted in 2011 the Mid-Century Modern Design Guidelines developed by the Planning Department in cooperation with Lawrence Tech University. Since that, 2013, Southwest hosted a mid-century modern architectural tour that is sold out. We have an area here in this city where mid-century modern has stood its test of time. The homes are still there. They're still there. Great structure. Took a lot of time, took a lot of money, but they're still there. This standard was adopted for a reason, and I feel like we're kind of walking a little bit over that reason or just kind of skirting to say, but. So when you think in terms of long-term, domes have some issues. They collapse, they fall. We have issues with weather. We have issues with windstorms sticking through. I read all about different things with domes. So that's an issue too with me, and that's a concern even with some residents that I've talked to. Even some residents that live in that mid-century modern area, they know about standards as well. I'm not against a sports center. My concern is the dome. We welcome a sports center. We need a sports center. It would be nice to have. But that dome structure is not within the guidelines that maybe I wasn't on this council, that adopted. And I think that we need to stick to those standards for lots of reasons. Just like you say, don't rush. We shouldn't rush because down the line, maybe there will be some part where you understand where that structure, mid-century modern, would be good for us and would stand the test of time in terms of building structure. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to look at. If we talk about standards, we have a Southfield standard here in our city that we always talk about. And I'll read you a quote too. It says, architecture throughout history has been a telltale sign of vitality of a community. And the quality of architecture directly relates to the quality of a community in lots of ways. And that was architect Frank Arvan. I think that's important to what we're talking about. That was stated when we talked about mid-century modern. And I think we need to stick to that. And having said that, I do support a sports center. I do support welcoming people to our community. But I am not in support of a dome because of the structure, the design, and what we asked for, what we agreed upon. I think we should stick with that. And I think overall, in the beauty and the design of that will look good in the long term, and it will stand its test of time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bland.
I have a couple of questions. I know you said you would be done by November. Is the stipulation that you have to begin immediately?
Yeah, we've actually pre-invested already. We've been paying for our dome materials we bought early, again, to beat annual increases in prices and long lead time. So we're on a really strict, tight schedule here.
And if there was a delay, if this council had more questions, would that pretty much make you decide to pull out of building here? I just want to be really clear.
Unfortunately, we'd lose a tenant base. They're all waiting for signatures at other venues that are all asking them. We will lose that. Generally, they're 2 to 5 year agreements. So we've got a really odd timing here where everyone's leases are up elsewhere. They haven't re-signed and they're waiting for this. They're all probably a month behind already in that pressure point. So they're all actively waiting for this to know if it's yes or no in this location. So I'll lose my revenue based on that.
I have a 12-year-old. She's a ballet dancer, but we live very close to that area, and she sees what's there now and always is asking what's going to come. I think it's a very viable option, but I do have a couple of questions, and maybe the planner could help me out as well. I heard the comment about a precedent, and I think being fair, right, if we compromise, where does that put us as a city if another group wants to come in and they might not be to that standard as well? Because I think it is a matter of fairness, right? And if we do compromise for the dome, does that put us in a situation where someone else, if it is viable, would have us, want to compromise as well? I think that Northland has been under so many iterations, right? And I used to shop at Northland. I believe my mom moved us out here in 1985. So Northland was the thing. I think we all want to see it thrive. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I think the bigger question is, where does that put us as a city if we do compromise? I heard you with the timeline, so what that tells me is we don't have a lot of time to keep talking. And I heard all the comments about being rushed and the changes and whatnot. I do think it would be great for the city. I think I'm looking at it just from another lens, and that's one from the planner and all the things that you've already instilled into this project. Where does that put us?
Just in general, it's always concerning when you set a precedent against what your rules and regulations are. Because if you do it for one individual, you can bet they're going to bring that back up. And there's a process to make those amendments. But when you start undermining your rules and regulations, then you have a concern, and you should update at that time. And if you would just permit me for a minute, this isn't any mall site. This is the first that spawned and motivated thousands of other malls in the United States and otherwhere, right? So we are the stewards of a very unique design and the first of the first. So we recognize that, and I think that's what helped drive the design standards and the redevelopment plan. And then this development approach undertook the overlay development district, which created special standards to create higher density, a mix of uses, varying of setbacks and so forth that the underlying zoning district didn't do. And I highlighted just a couple of the main points. So it's a trade-off. When the developer came and got this approved, the city negotiated standards. Like, we'll allow you to have greater density, we'll allow you to have greater height, we'll allow you to have fewer setbacks. But the trade-off is the ODDs should provide exceptional quality community design, above average pedestrian amenities, focus on pedestrian space, which it does for the most part. And it has to be compatible with the surrounding land uses and neighborhood character. It should have better and more desirable living and physical environment. It shall achieve consistent and coordinated site design and higher quality architectural design and materials. Conventional zoning provisions don't have to be met, and offer higher standards of architectural design. It's mentioned several times in the agreement that this is supposed to be it's a unique site, and it should have a unique development reflecting that uniqueness to create that mixed-use development. Personally, as a planner, the Planning Commission, we're in favor of the recreational use. We're in favor of the recreation center. What we're bound by is what the city has previously adopted, and the regulations call for these higher standards. And any time you start a precedent away from them, you're creating a slippery slope. And that's the struggle with this proposal, because I believe Detroit Rising is a legitimate organization. They have a proven track record. But I'm bound by what the ordinance says and what the council previously adopted. And then there is a process to amend that. But when you start eroding that process, it's going to cause concerns. And last thing I'll say is that the Costco Business Center was anticipated. We anticipated one big box of about 100,000 square feet. When it got relocated, it actually took it off of Greenfield and increased it slightly larger, but they were willing to adhere to our architectural standards. And as I had stated, we're hosting the National Planning Conference mobile tour. We're bringing people there to show them how new infill development can match the existing architecture. And if you stand in their parking lot of Costco Business Center and look through to the Hudsons and the existing mall, you see how the architecture complements each other.
I appreciate that. I want to draw just a quick view turn. Last week, someone came about building, I believe it was a P-trap on her bottom of her thing, and I guess the part was really cheap, and Chuck Woodward came up and said this standard is here for a reason, and we have these rules and regulations for a reason. I worry about consistency with that messaging, because I'm listening to you talk about, well, we put these standards and regulations in for a reason. I love the idea. I think the conundrum of sitting here at this time is we have rules and standards for a reason, and we didn't bend on a P-trap that cost $6. And now we're talking about something really major, and because I think we all want to see something amazing happen to Northland, because we're sick of seeing the trees and the dirt, and we want our kids and our families to have something to do, but at the same time, on the other end, you're telling us as the city planner that these rules and regulations are here for a reason. Yeah, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I would love to chime in. I know David has something else, but Detroit Shipping Company is built out of shipping containers, a non-conforming, second-used container that's dented, rusted, and whatnot, and it ends up becoming a beautiful facility that's won awards out in Chicago and New York. Now, when I went to city planning and walked window to window, the planners had a hard time dealing with this concept. And I had to say to them, does it conform to Michigan Build Code? And then we had to work through the concepts of them getting past a different substrate and material to actually form something that actually makes sense and contextual in the area. And the use was way more important than an argument about the material. I was formerly part of Beverly Hills Planning, and we did a downtown district site plan. And the reality was a lot of it couldn't come to fruition or wouldn't come to fruition, even though we wanted it to, and we had to conform to market changes. And we said, well, we want this to happen. We want a road through here. We want certain causeways, but it couldn't actually happen due to how the market was organized. So I understand every department has an opinion, and they all have their purview to it. TDA is fully for it because they see the economic driver this could be, right? And I know I've sat through meetings with every department, and I've heard we want something to happen here, right? And sometimes, as was mentioned before, form follows function, and this function is a catalyst, and it drives. And I'm passionate about activating spaces that were previously not used. I really care about the communities I'm in. I almost swept a tear when she talked about going down to that river walk. I sat there in December 2019. It was snowing on me. It was empty. COVID was about to hit, and there was no one there. And then when the city asked me to activate that, I got passionate about that and made that happen. I wouldn't present to you guys this change if I didn't believe in it. I look at design very intently in everything I do. I mean, that building alone was built in a city park, and I looked at Lansing, and I said, well, this is a mid-century town. This is Mad Men. This is Audrey Hepburn sitting in Roman Holiday, and this is all these moments, and how do I make that my muse to design this space around the community? I put the same intent in this kind of space. I wouldn't present this to you if it wasn't something I felt like was a catalyst that was really going to drive those small businesses that will come here and make this a great space. I live 11 minutes away. I want this to happen.
When would you start?
Well, again, we've already started spending. David's team has to do site work. They've already invested in a lot of the materials, bringing all the utilities to our site. So they're already accelerating that process.
So like construction though, when would you start?
The infrastructure has to be extended over to his site, and that could happen within a 60-day period. It's there. It's at the S&B building. All we have to do is loop it around and build that road around there. So the infrastructure for the use is there. And the good thing about the construction of his site, he needs a gravel mat, if you will, for his turf to sit on. So structurally speaking, he's not digging. We're going straight into the ground for his utilities.
So 60 days, that's around June 1st-ish?
That's kind of...
And then you have a turnaround time based on lead times and supply chain of November.
My supply is wonderful. That part I'm way ahead
Okay.
of. My issue will be timing with the city. Got to go through planning and all that, and then David setting up the site. But my construction is accelerated.
Thank you. And thank you, Terry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if I could though, if this gets approved tonight, they still have to have site plan approval, engineering approval, and building approval. So I don't know if they can do that within their 60-day window, but those things still have to be done, even if council approves the amendment.
We pre-spent, and our architecture team is almost complete. So once you guys are done, we're ready to submit.
And our Phase 1 plan for the infrastructure has already been approved. So this is part of the Phase 1 process of the development.
Yeah, so I just want to add again, we're discussing design intent versus 200,000 annual customers. I think in our charrettes, if I could show the charrette again, you could see that we're actually, every piece of material that we can adhere to the mid-century modern design standards, we are. It's in lighting, in hard structure, and in landscaping.
I want to point out just one other thing. When we acquired the mall back in 2021, we saw the vision. We understood the need to keep this mid-century modern design. And that's why when we deconstructed the 1974 enclosure, we kept the buildings, we kept the Hudson's buildings. So that's why you can still see from the road on the backside of Costco, through the buildings and through the walkways. That's all being incorporated to this sports complex. And where that sports dome is sitting now was a vacant parking lot. There was not a building there. But we've kept the intent as much as we could. That also continues down Greenfield as well.
And I apologize, sorry, I'm going to add as well, sorry. And I know there was mention about domes and the safety issues and all that. We for sure vetted all the companies that make domes in the world. We made sure we found the #1 rated company that has 100% rating over time, but nothing's ever fallen down. They have a overlayered substructure that's wires, and then they have how they weld, and that's how you close these things. They have smaller, shorter runs, so if there's a rip, the building actually stays up, and it's just an easy repair. So we've cared about that. I mean, we're investing $5 million. We don't want to put ourselves in any scenario that's not going to be a safe space. But thank you for that.
Councilman Brightwell?
Well, this is almost full circle for me. I was on the Northland Committee for quite a while, and also I chaired the committee for several years. And I was there when we brought on Contour, and Contour was selected because they were closer to the vision that the city came up with from the standpoint of what we wanted there in our design. While on that committee, I saw numerous, it came to us, numerous proposals to all kind of things. There's going to be a truck transfer place in underground Northland. It's going to become something else and all this good stuff. So Terry, you used the term, it keep coming up, slippery slope. In what context we talking slippery?
Well, through the chair, every time you make a major modification from the original design, if you do it for one development, then the next developer is going to come by and say, well, you let them do it, we want to change from the original design. And then the next one comes in. Okay. So we are always concerned, and the city attorney will talk to you about not setting a precedent that goes against your zoning or your design. Because once you do it, you make one exception for one, then how do you stop the next developer from saying, well, I want to do this or I want to do that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, a slippery slope.
I understand the concept, but what specifically is happening here that is the slippery slope, specific one item that produces that?
I mean, again, it's not the use, but the dome structure itself, okay, is not consistent with the architecture of the previous mall and the new construction. Even buildings A and B have a mid-century modern architecture. F&G has that design. The Costco has that design. Now, we've seen iterations where there's another big box or there's other development that could take place on the site. How do you argue that you got to uphold these standards when you've already allowed it, allowed a waiver or variance from those standards with the first development? That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I just wanted a specific topic. I brought it up the last time. Numerous people spoke to me about the dome, this edifice. Is there any way of having a design or the zone of something designed on that zone with respect to forests or anything that would take away the edifice looking thing when people see it? or is that architecturally or design prohibitive or something of that nature?
Yeah, the material of the dome is what it is. We have one that has exterior cross-hatching now with steel cables, and then we have uplighting that will actually accentuate, the different architectural moments on it. That's as good as you're going to get with a dome. When you start putting color or pigment into it to adjust it, you start deteriorating the actual material. But is there a charrette over here? I can show you kind of.
So is this prohibited from a construction standpoint?
Sorry. So you can see the cross-hatching here?
Right.
Yeah, so it gives a little bit of depth to the material. And then again, we're adhering to any hard structure, including we were asked, I think this process started last February, where Contour brought it to the group, and then they were said, hey, bring the wall up instead of flat on the ground, bring it up 3 feet. So we did that. So we added 3 foot of material that matches the mid-century modern. The actual outbuilding also matches all material standards of mid-century modern. The lighting and the landscaping are all part of that walkable exterior space. So every element we can add to, we are adding to it. But we brought it about as far as we can on the wall without becoming really cost prohibitive.
All right, okay, well, let's see, without this, what's the downsides to it, and how critical is this?
Well, I can speak on, in the last 3 years, we've done over 200 different designs for users to come in, whether it's restaurants, fitness studios, office space, pickleball courts, and the biggest thing has been the driver, and Jonathan has mentioned before, is the small businesses that will then facilitate more and more growth. The dome not coming in, the sports complex not coming in, we won't have the 200,000 users that he's talking about annually, which will then transition into $14, $15 million of economic impact to just that northern site of this complex.
Okay.
That's what I think, at least when it comes to, being in the market, having meetings with brokers on a daily basis every day. This will be a key catalytic driver to implementing this walkability, this lifestyle center, the hospital being across the street. You could even envision the health components that are going to be incorporated with this, and that's going to draw more and more use with other sports users. We do have outdoor space for more green space as well, where then you can have other users for outdoor facilities and outdoor users. I mean, there's been a conversation going on here since last February, and we've had different variations and what the next phase of the sports dome could be. And I think it's limitless. I mean, you could have so much that this will impact this site.
Okay, and now, obviously, I've been with this position for quite a while, and I've kind of indicated what we used to see coming there, and then Contour came up and gave us something closer to what we wanted. And you might have answered the young lady's question here, but when would construction start on this, and when would it be completed again?
Again, a lot of the construction is already existing, so we'd have to extend the next phase of this, but we'd start as soon as approval would happen. I mean, we'd have to go through the process of the site plan and construction drawings, engineering, but that would be a process where we'd start right away. Like you mentioned, he has the users already in place to start use of this facility this year.
Yeah, so we can be open in November if all the approvals just move as they are on a timeline currently.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. And then I just want to mention that I believe in that drawing there to the northeast corner, there's a little road there. If this was built across the street there, it's an approved use, an approved material, and I don't see how that would affect a mid-century modern space here, being 100 feet to the east or west. We're still, in Contour, still building 2.6 million square feet of mid-century modern buildings. Still getting all of that design. It's still all coming there. It just happens to be we have a use that just, the only way it can get built is with this material, unfortunately.
Councilwoman Haynes, I'm sorry, were you done, sir?
I'm done, yeah, please.
Councilwoman Haynes?
Okay, I don't mean to be rude, but how could you start without the approval, and then you expect us to approve it, and then there are other two entities that have to approve it? It's almost like, well, they're going to say yes, so we're going to get started. I'm not.
Well, I mean, the question at hand was
well, wait a
always-
minute, I'm not all that into it, but I mean, you got the zoning and the planning. Those, I mean, that's like slapping them in the face saying, well, we got started, so we just want to come make sure you all are on board.
I don't think that's the case, because we presented the side, a different side of the property, and really what was in question was the golf dome use.
Well, what if they say no?
Then we don't have the space.
Okay, you don't have to say anymore.
Councilman Mammoth? We only have him.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
I don't necessarily think this is setting a precedent. That's why it comes to the council. We can make those decisions as they come. If another use came, it was mentioned earlier, somebody wanted to build buildings of marijuana grow farms, that would not be a good use and a good change, and I don't think we're necessarily setting a precedent. I think what we're really looking at, we've heard different examples about making, changes with building structures and things like that, where we don't give an inch. But this is not a building issue. This is more of an aesthetics issue, which from what I'm hearing is some of the concern. But as I mentioned in my remarks earlier, I think that this is, personally, I like new with old. I think it adds a different look. I don't think we're setting a precedent. I don't think it's going to take away from the overall over 100-acre site of Northland. But, that's just my position. Thank you.
Mr. Administrator?
Thank you, Mr. President. My comments focus on, this was a complex deal. We established design standards. I have to concur with Ms. Haynes' comments about the cart somewhat being in front of the horse, and that certain business decisions have been made without the final approval. This was a complex arrangement. It is also tied to a very complex brownfield. And at the time, it was before suburban communities could be part of the transformational legislation, which we helped get changed in the last year. But the taxpayers have agreed to $60 million of increment financing tied to certain design standards and other elements. My focus on this, whether this body passes this, moves it forward or does not, they're overall site conditions that have been increasingly becoming more and more difficult that the administration has to respond to. And I'm talking, we still don't have a plan on earth balancing. We've got stockpiles of dirt, soil stabilization, infrastructure that we're waiting for as-built drawings still that hasn't been accepted by the city. Whenever I hear moving from what I call the Greenfield Wall, and we agreed to go over to Costco and develop that infrastructure, and now we're going to head to the south end. These are areas of concern for me. They're all manageable, but this is going to be about timing. If anything's approved, the administration is going to be seeking a heavier hammer in that approval. My recommendation is probably more, and I don't know the desire of where council is, but that we have a better understanding, and that my recommendation would be to table and allow us to address these other items. I have concerns. I've been told that this is a ground lease, 20 years, 20 years, 20 years. You have a brownfield that anticipates a certain level of taxes coming in. You're no longer, the tax yield on this dome is very different. Looking at pieces of taxes, they're saying a $5 million investment. Will it only be the land that is assessed at real property bringing increment on our brownfield? The dome, as a dome structure, the depreciation schedule is not a standard 39, it's an accelerated, and it's no secret Michigan's been looking to eliminate personal property taxes my entire professional career going back to the mid-'80s. That accelerated depreciation after year 5, 7, there's almost very little that would be part of producing tax yield for the city. We made certain assumptions. If my tax yield is being decreased, I feel I need to go back to the developer and have a very different conversation about the brownfield plan. This infrastructure is becoming more and more concerning because it needs to be turned over to the city at a certain point. And I don't have as-built, I'm just looking at all these things. I've asked my team to give me certain inputs. Now, prior to any C of Os being issued, these items have to be addressed. This is a site condominium. This is a pad in the condominium. I think there are things that are tied together. And so, again, I said this during the president's meeting, I think certain things need to be hammered out. And, I respect, typically we look at just planning, but this is beyond just a normal site plan. The complexities of the overlay development agreement takes this beyond normal planning, and how we tied it to the brownfield plan. I think we've got to be looking at those pieces as well. So those are my thoughts, and am not opposed to the use. The architectural standards, I'll let you folks. I will say this, as the person, I'm sorry, as a person who the TSX who was in front of you, I agree, the cost on that, at that time, it was a $22 million project in 2005. Today, it would probably easily be a $30 to $40 million project. I also heard, hotels and all that would come. I've yet to see that. I will say restaurants sell out. The hotels that are being filled up are the ones at Northline and 75. Some new hotels are being built at Eureka and 75. But that was 21 years for that to happen. So those are my thoughts. But I think this brownfield piece, it is germane to this, and I think the administration, with or without this, we're going to continue to push these issues. But earth balancing, soil stabilization, infrastructure, the closeout on phase 1, phase 2, and we're going to be moving to the storm facility isn't fully functioning. There's other pieces that need to be addressed. A typical condominium community, each pad, all the infrastructure would be wrapped up before those pads are moving into production. And we've been trying to move certain things, but I'm concerned that by now there should be 6 buildings, and that's not producing tax yield. I've heard some folks come to me in the community and say, gee, Southfield's had damages. You should have had more built. So I've said this to David, and we've got to just get better results at a quicker speed. In the next 90 days, if council approves this, I think it shouldn't be approved unless these other items are addressed. And I've got to ask proof of funds questions, that the site infrastructure and these other elements will happen.
Did you have one more comment?
I mean, in response, I think it's more than just about the dome, like you just said. And like Terry said, I think this is very serious, and we have a responsibility here. We are not against it, but that is very serious. And I think we need to look overall at this and take that into account.
So, my questions. I like to wait till last because I believe in hearing input from my peers on whether things that they are supportive of, things that they have questions on, just to make sure that I understand comprehensively, things that I may not have thought of. I do have a few questions. I know that it was mentioned that you received the list of HOAs the day of. I understand that. That was the 19th where you had the town hall. Have you reached out and received any responses from any of the ones that I identified for you?
I emailed all the ones you identified.
Did you call any of them?
No, I emailed them all. Nobody responded.
Okay. You had mentioned incentives that you were going to get that made it beneficial for you to build at Northland. was there any discussion on, hey, the same message that I'm receiving is based on these design concepts? Is there anything we can work together to collaborate to get some of these things addressed?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Have you worked, so you got incentives that made it beneficial for you to build at Northland.
Yes.
Have you also talked to the developer on how can we align with the design concepts?
Meaning the mid-century modern design concepts?
Correct.
100%. Again, so we don't need a retaining wall in our design, but it was asked by the city to bring a retaining wall up 3 feet. It was asked to bring that in material that matched mid-century modern, so we used their design intent. Then we actually are increasing the green space and lighting to match more of what you guys are looking for in a walkable space. So we are adjusting our design where we can and what we can control.
So professionally, I have 6, soon to be 7 departments that report to me. In each department, I trust my managers and my directors to have subject matter expertise. So when they come to me with a contrary opinion from other people within our company, I try to make sure that we have some compromise. What I'm hearing today is that pretty much everybody at this dais is supportive of the use of the building. So I don't hear any disagreement there, and I agree with that. What I haven't heard was, have we done enough due diligence to get some consensus, some cohesion, to get some compromise on these design concepts? What I'm also hearing, and I heard from the administrator definitely, was maybe we need to table this item to hammer out some of these discussions. The council can call a special meeting to still align with your time frame. But to me, I think many of the comments that were lifted here can be addressed through some serious compromise and alignment. I do agree that we should not establish precedents, because at that point, we will have the same issue with other ones saying, well, hey, you did it for that, so now you need to do it for this. What I heard was DDA was initially not supportive, but now they are. What I also heard was that Planning Commission is not supportive of this, and I believe the Planning Department is not supportive of it as it's written today. I'm hearing some concern from the administrator. So for me, I'm just saying, is it best for us to address these items that were lifted? We can call a special meeting. I just don't know if going down the pathway tonight will be value added until we have some more alignment. I'm just throwing that out there to council. Any other questions? What's the position of council?
Mr. President,
Ma'am?
I move that we approve PZR 0ODD 25-003, the request to amend the existing ODD agreement for the Northland Sub-Area Redevelopment Plan Overlay Development District to update the prohibited permitted use list, master development plan, project timeline, and condo master deed.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue and supported by Councilman Mandelbaum. Any additional comments or question? Hearing none, please call for a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk.
No.
Councilman Brightwell.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes.
Nay.
Councilwoman Hogue.
Yes.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Council President Hicks.
No. Motion failed. Moving on to ordinances.
Before I leave, just want to ask, right, I believe I heard if you vote no, we can't come back to you for a year, correct? Just want to make sure I understand the rules and how this works.
Mr. Planner?
Well, I'll defer to the city attorney, but it's been our practice that you can't come back within a year for the exact same thing. So it would
Sorry,
have
guys.
to be a modification of the request in order to come back.
That is correct. We have discussed this before.
Unless there's major changes to the design, is that?
If there's substantial changes to the request that could include the design or other aspects of the amendment, they could come back within that time period. But if they come back to ask for the same thing, it's been our policy that it has to be at least a year whenever a rezoning is denied.
Right.
And if you recall, the Kroger gas station was similar.
Right, we did it with the oil change business on Southfield Road. They came back after they make substantial changes. So, okay.
I don't think we can do that, sir.
You can't do that, even though
No,
I'm a
sir.
partner on it? I mean, you guys just turned down thousands of kids to have a place to play. I know,
No,
but we were
sorry,
in
sir.
conjunction
You're
with a
out of
lot of
order.
people in Southfield.
Thank you, sir.
You guys made a big mistake, we just lost millions to the city.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Moving on to ordinances.
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
I'd like to enact ordinance number 1830.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Council President Pro Tem Hoag. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I'd like to move that we enact ordinance number 1831.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Council President Pro Tem Hoag. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Council. Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone that Household Hazardous Waste Day is coming up. The April 25th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. RASOC will be opened for collection of clothing, shoes, accessories, small household items, simple recycling, time for spring cleaning, so mark April 25th on your calendar, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, with Easter coming forward, I would like to wish everyone a happy Easter, and also Passover, I believe is this week starting, so I would like to wish everyone a happy Passover. Mr. Zorn?
Yes.
The other day, I was on Lazar Road, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, passing Stevenson School, and the cars were about 10 deep on both sides. I almost got hit because not only were they deep on both sides, they're trying to make a turn in, so like they're, I want to say double deep, but I'm probably not saying it properly. Is there any way that our police department, engineering department, someone can go out there to work with the traffic in that area? Because like I said, I almost got hit. And it's very dangerous, and I don't want an accident to happen in that area. I know that, it's a new school, and I believe it's at full capacity, but it seems like there's more people that are picking up their children versus taking the bus, and we really need some traffic control there.
we can certainly communicate that to both traffic engineering and the police department.
Thank you. Thank you, yes.
Councilwoman Bland?
So, Councilwoman Banks, the Road Commission of Oakland County came out twice at the request of the Board of Education, begged and pleaded for a left-hand turn signal. We're not asking for a light, just a signal there at Winchester. That's the issue, because what ends up happening is the light is so fast and that traffic moves so much that the parents have opted to parking and loading in multiple places because of the backup. The Road Commission denied the district twice. They said there wasn't enough traffic. I have contacted Commissioner Smith Charles personally because my daughter went to that school. Unfortunately, the school is not a big enough reason to just put a left-hand turn lane. There's already light there. All the district asked for was a left-hand turn signal. They said that it did not warrant that. So there have been a lot of attempts to get some type of mediation. There are 4 SROs. There have been times where 2 of them with their cars were out there trying to help. So the district has tried everything. If the city has any assistance to help them, I know they would welcome it. But the Road Commission came out multiple times, twice, and told them no.
And if I could just comment on that, if my memory is correct, there was a charter school off of Telegraph Road, I'm drawing a blank on the name, at Bradford Academy, and we installed, I shouldn't say we, a light was installed there. You know, and here we've got, it's a narrower area, and children are crossing the street, and cars are every which direction. We're just waiting for, something's going to happen.
We also had a fatality, and we worked with MDOT on that. This is a question about road jurisdiction. We'll get a conversation, because we often look, we've been actually very successful in the Safe Routes to School grants as well. But we can get that dialogue on with the Road Commission and bring in our police and traffic engineers as well.
Mr. Clerk, you can't leave the meeting. Thank you.
I'm wondering if the district could look at staggered dismissal. That's been done at some schools. For instance, the Manugian School, which is K-12, in our neighborhood, does a staggered dismissal. It wouldn't work for every parent, obviously, because we have a younger grade and an older grade, but that might help the situation if there were staggered dismissal and report time.
There was a farewell to Southfield Lathrop Senior High School over the weekend. So I just wanted to let the community know that the school will be demolished in June, and a new school will be built within 3 years. Also, Levy Middle School, who came and received some accolades, they actually went to their competition, and from what Principal Jackson told me, they were 2 of the top 20 students in the practice rounds out of 518 students. They also participated, and this was students from all over the nation. So I think that's pretty awesome for a school that started this 4 years ago. Also, they went to the Math Bee for the district, and their 7th graders placed 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So they're doing some good things over at Levy. That is the STEM school, and just wanted to let everyone know about that.
Councilman Brightwell?
I just want to mention that there will be a veteran resource fair in May 9th from 9 to And also, I want to mention that Mrs. Talley was getting a lot of accolades and recognition at the early part of the session. But I want to just let people know that the city of Southfield and the Southfield City Council has recognized Mrs. Talley back in 2023. Here we named the street. I won't start over, but
Start over.
with respect to Ms. Talley, the city of Southfield, the city council recognized Ms. Talley in 2023. We named the street after her, the street in front of City Hall, which is called Barbara Talley Way. And we had a nice program for her in the pavilion, and approximately 400 individuals showed up for that program. And so we have been recognizing Ms. Talley since whenever we get the opportunity. So thank you.
Pro Tem Hogue,
Nothing from me, Mr. President.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Just a reminder that leaf pickup starts April 6th on Monday. I've been getting a lot of questions on that one, so April 6th you can start with leaf pickup. Other than that, I want to wish everyone a happy Passover, happy Easter. Reminder that City Hall will be closed, the library will be closed, so get all your stuff done before they close for the holiday. Thank you.
Councilwoman Haynes.
A couple of things. I just want to make a recommendation. We talked about the neighborhood associations. I would like to encourage the residents to really look into reestablishing these neighborhood associations, just as Councilman Mandelbaum said that he's doing. It's very, very important when we have meetings like this that the neighborhood associations have input and get the information. If we have an established association, people can readily get that information. So I just want to encourage you and work with also with us on the Neighborhood Services Committee where we can help with getting some information about starting one. In addition to that, the Great Marshmallow Drop will be at Warden Park on Friday, April 3rd, 2026. It is free. It's a free marshmallow drop, and it will be dropped by a helicopter to be turned in for prizes. So you get the marshmallows and have a lot of fun. We've had it at Southfield Parks before, but I just wanted to let them know this is a county thing, and just bring your kids out for fun, just for spring celebration, and get them some energy while they can. Hopefully we'll have good weather. And just want to say happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Resurrection Day, and happy spring. And I just hope that spring really comes instead of this cold weather. Thank you.
So, I'm going to mind real quick. Want to say congratulations to Jalen Rose, who will be giving the commencement speech at the University of Michigan. It always feels good to have someone from your era, speak before the graduates. I also want to give a shout out to the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team for both advancing to the Final Four and for the NCAA, as well as the hockey team for making it to the Frozen Four. Definitely the leaders in best. Go Blue. Mr. Mayor.
This morning I attended the Greater Metro Area Realtors breakfast meeting, and the topic was expanding or addressing the need for a major shortage of housing in the state of Michigan. I brought some materials from that after the meeting I'll provide all of you with. On Friday evening, we have a new business on Telegraph, and it's just slightly up the street from the car storage that you approved this evening, which I think is sorely needed. I'm sure the council president would agree with that. There's a demand for that. And anyhow, it's Ducati Motors, which is a motorcycle company, and they are, it's an Italian motorcycle company. They moved here from Birmingham to be in Southfield, and they're occupying the former Hummer dealership, which has been vacant, so it was great to see new life and a business relocate to Southfield. And then this morning at the Habitat for Humanity Restore, we had a small ceremony of acceptance with our Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of a check for $3,100,000 for senior housing repairs for those that qualify through the income restrictions. We have a growing senior population in the city, and we want people to age in place. Assisted living is expensive, so if you can stay in your home, the home you know, and get some assistance to do things like new roofs or a new furnace or plumbing repairs. So we are very thankful for our Congresswoman getting this allocation from Congress. Our housing people were there along with the city administrator and our community relations staff and cable. So we'll be giving more publicity to this donation. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the mayor has indicated, I too attended this morning's ceremonial presentation for the $3.1 million, $50,000. We're excited. A lot of details are still being hammered out. When we submitted the grant proposal, it was working with Habitat for Humanity, who is currently a partner with the city in our home in the Southfield Home Improvement Program, and so we're excited about that. Everything else on my checklist has been hit, with the exception of the Touch the Truck on Sunday, April 26th. The first from 1 to 4. The first hour is for those folks who may have sensotorial concerns, the noise and that, but always a well-attended event. So that's Sunday, April 26th, Touch a Truck between 1 to 4. There is information on the city's website. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk. Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Attorney.
That's okay. Good evening, Council. I have nothing further to add. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Clerk.
Good evening. I do have the item on the updated agenda, and that is a travel expense report for reimbursement. I had a full week, and as submitted, please.
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the travel expense for the clerk to the MCMA Mount Pleasant, Michigan training session, March 8th through the 13th.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Hogue and supported by Councilwoman Banks. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Clerk, did you?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Ma'am.
I move that we move to closed session. I'm sorry. I know. It's not here. I'm sorry. But, no.
Mr. Planner?
Thank you. I just want, the two women that were sitting behind me, they were anticipating an item being approved under the clerk's portion, and that's why we were corresponding, because apparently that got moved to the consent. They weren't aware of that, and that's why we were just trying to resolve, because they sat here for 3.5 hours hoping to get their item approved.
I mentioned it when I did the consent agenda item.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
did, but they
Okay.
missed it, and it wasn't my item, so I just wanted to make sure that their item got approved. I told them to follow up with the clerk's office tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, I had no idea that they
They
were
were
here.
here.
Otherwise, I would have walked up to them 3.5 hours ago.
when they heard me mention their names, it's unfortunate they didn't.
Yeah,
step in.
and so that's the only reason we were,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't have any, I wasn't paying attention because
But
it
they
wasn't
know
my.
it passed.
I told them that.
Okay, thank you.
So that's all, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.
Ma'am.
Pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act, I move that we go into closed session to discuss litigation that permits us that under the Open Meetings Act.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Council President Pro Tem Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Haynes. Well, Mr. Clerk, if you can do a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Banks.
Yes.
Councilwoman Bland. Councilman Brightwell. Councilwoman Haynes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pro Tem Hoag.
Yes.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Council President Hicks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're now in close. Good night, everyone.